Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another stream. I guess the closest theme today would be conspiracy, because we are looking at a conspiracy, though it is a single one instead of a cornucopia of nonsense. It is all about the super soldier program that these people think that they were a part of. They think that they were super soldiers working for the secret space program and that they were in all sorts of sci-fi adventures. So that's fun. Took a trip to the used DVD place today. Thought it'd be fun to let you guys know what I got. This is pretty good. I got this for like $2. This is 4 Jackie Chan films. Operation Condor, Operation Condor 2, Project A, and Project A2. I already had, I think, Operation Condor and Operation Condor 2, which is actually originally Armor of God and Armor of God 2. Operation Condor, they got switched in the United States versus the original release. But nonetheless, there's those. First season of Handmaid's Tale on Blu-ray. Surprisingly decent shape as well. Let's see. 1001 classic commercials. I got this for $1 because I don't think most people want shit like this. I do. I like having random DVDs of like archival footage, public domain bullshit. I'm into it. I like having that stuff. Blade, the series. As you guys know, it's a goal of mine to have every single Marvel thing ever released on DVD and Blu-ray. So there's Blade the series, which if you didn't know that existed, that's a thing. That is not Wesley Snipes. That is literally just another person being Blade. So that's pretty good. I was surprised I found that. The Adventures of Superman, the early one from the 50s, the one with, oh gosh, what? George Reeves Superman. This one came off a little rough. I'm gonna have to use something to get this off. And this was a fun one. Bible Man Legacy, Volume 2. So this has some Bible Man stuff I don't have already, so that's fun. I like the Bible Man stuff. It's corny. It's fun to have. Oh, and these were actually sent by someone through my wish list. There was no note. It is the DVDs of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, the Mario Brothers show from the 80s with Captain Lou Albano as Mario, at least in the live-action segments. So thank you very much to whoever got me these. I like weird kids' cartoon shows. I don't know. Something I'm into. Is Bible Man part of the MCU? There's nothing that says he isn't, so I'm gonna say yes. Hey, paisanos, it's the Super Mario Bros. Super Show! Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Copyrighted. We're on a hype train, 35% to level 1. Let's see what I missed in chat. Cruelty1, thanks for 20 months. Is there anything? Avant Gardener, thanks for 17 months. Messy Jaden with 100 bits says, bring back the new cocky 2023. Gnome Pickles says, Blade the series is proof that we may need to pass on the planet to the raccoons. Humanity has flown too close to the sun. We're doing our best, okay? Besides, the Nick Fury movie starring, why am I blanking on his name? He ate a cheeseburger on the ground. He's David Hasselhoff. He was David Hasselhoff. The minute he was cast as Nick Fury in a movie was when it was done. We were already on borrowed time after that. Bumble Homestead, thanks for 200 bits, 45% to level 1. Alright, so I think we can probably get into it. I know we're in the middle of a hype train, but this is kind of a long video. I'll try to keep the pauses as brief as possible, because this conference, and I don't know how much of this we'll watch, if this will be the whole stream, or if we'll dive into their other material, but this guy is the head of the super secret, what is it called? Super Soldier Talk is the name of the channel. This guy's the head of Super Soldier Talk, and this is him at some sort of conference at a hotel conference room. If you've ever been to things like that. This is his presentation on what he believes is the real, true history of the secret space program and the super soldiers and all the conspiracy stuff he believes. Thank you for the reminder. I will need Boxy to go up. Thank you. So we're going to see how this goes. It should be interesting. Go for it, right, said Rob.
How's everybody doing today?
Good high energy start. That's what you want.
Doing good, good. Thank you all for coming out here. So I've got a PowerPoint presentation here for you that
This guy screams super soldier to me, by the way. Maybe more Steve Rogers pre-serum, but not necessarily in the moral sense, more just the everything else. Let me see if I can move this over. He's a meek guy, is all I'm saying, which is perfectly great and good.
has been in the works for the last couple of years, and every now and then I try to update it. And this year I'm going to add a little bit more about the early SSP program, but I think there might be some
Secret Space Program. We call it the SSP for short, you know, like a good breeve, like all good super soldiers.
There's someone in this room that's more qualified to speak on the early program. Penny Bradley in the back.
H. Baird, sorry, did I miss a bits message? Let's see. H. Baird said, according to DC, the Greek pantheon exists, so that means Jesus and this Bible man couldn't exist in the DC universe. I mean, a lot of pantheons exist in comic book universes usually. The way that I don't know much about DC, but in Marvel, like tons of different pantheons exist. The Greek pantheon exists, the Norse pantheon exists, all sorts of things. And it's explained, I think, what's the Neil Gaiman American Gods? They do the American God style thing, where gods are manifestations of human belief and not the other way around. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs.
Back there, but
47% to level 3. And to be clear, that's not to say that, like, Thor isn't real. It's just that there's kind of a time loop thing in the Marvel Universe. Not even time loop. I have a whole book on the history of the Marvel Universe. It's weird. There were, like, original old gods, but there's also, like, the Ragnarok cycle. I don't have time to get into it. We're already doing super soldiers. That's enough nonsense without me going on about.
I'm going to just bring up a few things because I just wanted to connect it into Tartaria.
Oh, god damn it. 47% to level 3. Should we play bingo? Do we want to play bingo? I wasn't planning on it, but if he's going to touch on a bunch of different, like, things, maybe we should play bingo. That might be fun. Here. Okay, you can get your bingo cards. We're going to play bingo, and Tartaria's already marked. Let's move all this off. Oh, if you missed last Tuesday, we have a new Tinfoil Tuesday bingo card, by the way, so that's cool. If I can just find Tartaria on here, I can mark it. I'm still not used to the new placements. There it is, 11. We did it. You're lost already? Oh boy. Tartaria is... There are conspiracy theorists. We're playing for a sub. We'll play for a sub. I did mention Blu-rays, so Blu-rays as well, I guess, because I wasn't expecting us to play bingo, but that's fair, yes. Tartaria, there's a popular conspiracy theory now involving the idea that the entire world used to be ruled by an ancient empire called Tartaria that's been erased from history through a great reset in the past, and that the current, like, society we live in is secretly built on the ruins of that civilization that was, like, a global civilization that had, like, super advanced technology. They basically look at neoclassical architecture or any kind of architecture that isn't utilitarian, and they're like, we couldn't have built that. It must have been ancient people. Skiffizoa, thanks for 28 months, says 5 months till I'm a Freemason.
But,
Not the highest level, though. Quantum grammar guy's like 93rd degree, even though it only goes up to 33. Gnome Pickle says the world is an etch-a-sketch to these people just built on the ruins of magical societies.
There's a little info on me right there. So, the reason why I'm bringing up the, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm James Rink, and I'm the founder of Super Soldier Talk, as well as the YouTube channel. And I am a super soldier, and my experience in this, I'm actually...
Oh shit, Bake Hop with a $20... I don't know what these are called. They're like super chats, basically. Says, the fuck does this slider thingy do? Thank you.
Participated in some of these projects that we're going to share, but I participated in this too in a past life.
I'm trying to like see what it says. Cabal, One World Order, ruled by Lucifer and Jesuit Black Pope. So that's gonna be Satanism on the bingo card. Mix of international bankers. Oh boy, that is rough. Oh, if I do this, it's easier. Mix of international bankers. Ew, black nobility. I hope that means something other than what it sounds like. Illuminati, Club of Rome, Vatican. Predomites, Draco, bloodline families. Oh. Overt anti-Semitism on the bingo card. Overt anti-Semitism. New World Order. Hydrate.
But didn't really do me much good. In the end of the day, if humanity is not set free, then you're just basically a slave. So it's not just the SSB groups. It's here on planet Earth. We're all kind of in the same predicament. But
he just says like, yeah, we're all, we're not, it's not just the super soldiers. We're all being controlled by my very anti-Semitic ideas about how the world works. Mr. Whiskers with 19 months says, looks like I've got myself knocked up again with another sub baby in the oven. Hey, what can I say? I am incredibly fertile. 89% to level 4.
This just gives you an idea of the control.
Illuminati Freemasons on the bingo? No, they haven't brought up Freemasons yet. Unless I... Oh, Illuminati, you're right. They did say Illuminati. I apologize. Illuminati, Freemason. I think, is it both on the bingo card? Is it still? Illuminati on the bingo card.
System that
Run Trip Fall, thanks for 12 months, says, ooh, 1 year, yay.
we're dealing with, but if we go back, it's a lot more encompassing. So the reason why I'm pulling up Tartaria is because the original inhabitants that
Oh yeah, it can also be Cabal now. Yep, for sure.
came out of
1% to level 5, wow. We're doing good on this hype train. Thanks, everyone.
Inner Earth and Thula had settled the area due east of the Caspian Sea of a territory known as the Tartar Marlux. But this particular area, we're going to go roughly around the year around 1800 to 1820, a steampunk civilization.
We can count that as believed sci-fi technology exists. It's in the same vein. I think that counts. Steampunk could be argued to be sci-fi in some ways. It's just sci-fi as envisioned by people like Jules Verne, basically. So I would say that counts. H-Bird says, Twitch is messing up and just reminding me. Ugh, 32 months. Wait. Nope, not quite. Cool. Steve with a Q. Wait, 9, 18, 24... No, okay, still not. Steve with a Q with 200 bits says, the way this guy's going, I may hit my stretch goal of filling an entire bingo card. Bake Hop with another $20 says, you have to read this. In that case, Gouda is the best cheese. Fight me. That doesn't count for the bingo spot because someone made me say it.
Emerged, or was in the beginning of merging, although this picture right here probably predates around 1880, but the one on the far right there. But this breakaway civilization started to promote free energy and anti-gravity, as well as devices that would heat mansions in people's homes without any electricity. So
why did you say mansions first? It would heat mansions and people's homes. Okay, so a mansion can be people's homes, but I'm a little confounded by the way he phrased it. Weird. Mr. Whiskers says in Dr. Farnsworth, the science of steam.
Well, this civilization was destroyed, at least according to some of the remote viewing. It appears.
Remote viewing, by the way, is when you close your eyes and say, I think I see this thing happening, aka your imagination. Gnome Pickle says, you know, I have to admit, it is heartening to see how all these evil groups just gel. Lucifer working with space reptiles and the Illuminati. That speaks to a healthy work environment. That's true. I hope they have good benefits. Dental? I feel like demons probably require a lot of dental.
The Draco were upset at the rapid advancement of the human race. And
reptilians, by the way, he said reptoids, right? Reptilians. Messy Jaden says, I'm a super soldier. Watch as I lean far enough back to completely horizontal line in a chair.
I think they're using time travel tech to look into the future.
Is time travel separate on the bingo card now? If so.
To create a timeline which keeps humanity under enslavement, or at least under their control.
Oh, you're describing the... Wait, that's a spoiler. Do you guys care if I spoil the first season of Loki to explain... Okay. Fuck it. Okay. So he's basically stealing the plot of Loki. A little bit.
So, even though these mud floods were created to wipe this...
Minute left on the hype train, 55% to level 5.
...particular civilization off the map, the inhabitants of the...
Like, that's not how anything works. Like, we know that civilizations have collapsed before. We're familiar with them. We know what happened to them, at least within the frame of time you're talking about. Like, you're not talking about 10,000 years ago, and even that, we know, like, things about the first civilizations that we know about. We know things about, like, Samaria, Babylon, stuff like that. Like, we know about the Indus River Valley civilizations, and after that we know about, you know, the different kingdoms of Egypt and everywhere that people went after that. But, like, you think that in the 1800s an entire civilization that was ruling the world disappeared? And no one noticed? Like, this happened in the Elder Scrolls, basically. When the dwarves disappeared, people noticed. You're basically positing that someone Thanos snapped an entire civilization away. Like, imagine if one day Rome is probably the best example I can think of, based on how I understand they think Tartaria ran. Thank you, everyone, for that killer hype train. Thank you so much. That was awesome. They basically think it was like super Rome. It was Rome, but up until the 1800s. So they think that this all disappeared and no one remembered about it or wrote it down or anything. And this isn't like in ancient times when literacy was like a thing, like 1% of the population had the skill in. This is the 1800s, right? We know that while it still wasn't as widespread as today, literacy in the 1800s was enough that there's a ton of first-hand documents. We have primary source documents out the ass from the 1800s, and not just like, you know, random things. Like, there are books still that are being published today from the 1800s. It's not that long ago. We have pictures from the 1800s. Later 1800s, but still.
This area is settled all over the world, and the area of the Los Angeles Basin was actually was a Lemurian colony, farming community, and the food was sent up north to San Francisco. There was a Lemurian colony as well before.
Was it still called San Francisco? Because I have questions, if so.
Where the settlers from Europe got there. But some of these settlers settled...
We should mark the bingo card. I'm doing a bad job at not pausing this. Let's take a look real quick, because he has marked a ton off. Illuminati. Aliens. Reptilians. Did he say the deep state? I don't think he did. He said Lemuria, not Atlantis, and those are separate. So not Atlantis yet. We do have Satanic. Technically, San Francisco is a vulgar Latin name. I thought it literally stood for Saint Francisco. Doesn't understand architecture for the Tartaria thing. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. Believe sci-fi tech actually exists. Anything else? Okay.
In the area, Sonora, and set up, of course, the Sonora Aero Club, and this is the beginning of the Solar Warden program, and
overt anti-Semitism also on the bingo card.
An offshoot of that was the Solomon Andrews airship. So there's a little drawing there of what it allegedly looked like.
What the fuck? He really didn't film this well to show the guy. You're not missing anything. I'll show it if you're missing anything on the slide, but you're really not. You're not.
But some of these Solar Warden crafts, the early ones, look more of a cylindrical. So that program was moved to Louisiana. Again, this is around 1862. And then moving forward, we have Samuel Tillman, who was an airship pilot for he flew a cigar-shaped craft. So this is around 1897. And he was also close friends with John Jacob Astor. So
John Jacob Astor of Titanic fame.
Astor family was the ones that were in opposition to the Federal Reserve Bank.
Oh, of course it comes back to this.
So J.P. Morgan gave him a free ticket.
Oh yeah, it should also be thinly veiled anti-Semitism too. It should be both, because they did also do like cabal of bankers. And they also said Zionists, which is a callback to the... there's a conspiracy fake document that a lot of the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories go to. It's called the something Protocols of the Elders of Zion or something. It's a forgery. It's fake. It's, someone put out this fake, like, here's our agenda, our evil agenda, basically, and we're like, this is leaked. And this was a long time ago, and idiots still believe it. It's not real.
The White Star Line, and that was the end of that bloodline. And so I think there was these families were using, in my opinion, some kind of chronovisor, a time travel tech, to see who.
Chronovisor? I didn't get that toy with my Time Force stuff. I got the gliders, but oh, that's in space. Fuck.
Who should they target? How should they change the timelines to prevent these advanced technology?
One of his slides said giants. Okay, that counts then.
Because I think if this guy survived the Titanic, we probably would have a world like Nikola Tesla wanted for us.
Nikola Tesla is not right about everything. You can like Nikola Tesla. You don't have to make him this weird sci-fi figure.
So I'm going to just mention the short thing about Keeley. So, like I said, I'm not necessarily an expert on this, but here's some of his sympathetic vibrational devices, and he just used certain gyroscoping actions, and they found that it could create weightlessness by changing. You can see the scale here in the middle picture. So he was able to move around very heavy equipment, and the media branded him as a quack, and still science books don't recognize him. But I really think
it's almost like he's full of shit, or you made something up about this guy.
I think there was something too.
I'll look him up. John Worrell Keeley. Let's see. John Ernst Worrell Keeley was an American fraudster and self-proclaimed inventor from Philadelphia who claimed to have discovered a new mode of power which was originally described as vaporic or etheric force, and later as an unnamed force based on vibrationary sympathy, which he produced interatomic ether from water and air. Keely secured substantial investments from many people, including John Jacob Astor IV, despite numerous requests from stockholders of the Keely Motor Company, which had been established to produce a practicable motor based on his work. He consistently refused to fully discuss the principles on which his motor supposedly operated, and also repeatedly refused demands to produce a marketable product by claiming that he needed to perfect his inventions. Oh, he's Theranosing. He Theranosed. Or I guess I should say Theranosed John Ernst Keeley. But you know what I mean. Sure.
What Keeley was up to, and considering his background.
H. Baird says, to be fair, a whole bunch of civilizations exist in Africa into the 1800s. The British, French, Germans, Belgians made sure we don't remember them anymore. That's true. That's true. Fair enough.
And the people he's working with. Frank Reed
cites a defunct source on the bingo card.
Just another publisher who had these are fantastical drawings and images, fictional stories, accounts, but he probably did have access to some of these early secret SSP programs.
He's literally admitting these are illustrations written for fiction, and he's like, but no, these are probably real, even though the guy that drew them said they weren't and knew that they were made for fiction.
Programs, but I didn't.
No, we're playing bingo.
My focus is on some more of the SSP aspect in that particular slide. So I'm going to move on here to Thomas Townsend Brown. So at least according to some of the research, so this project Winter.
My research said by a not researcher.
Okay, then I'm going to go in just a bit. But Nikola Tesla and the Dyson family were working together with the Townsend Brown to create electrostatic and gravitational motors, and which the images you see on the top were in the community where Townsend Brown lived. Those were.
So how did this even work? They claim to remember stuff, but talk like it's still a possibility or not concrete. Here's the thing. You gotta understand that this guy, while he is the leader of the website and everything, he is far from the only contributor. It's a little bit like SCP in that is a collective... I'm sorry, excuse me. It is a collective lore. Like, it's basically a fan fiction. All of the members are writing, and they have to they'll have different ideas of what happened. That they believe this, to be clear. I compared it to SCP, but they do believe this, or at least claim to believe it for whatever reason. Google SCP if you need to know what it is. It's basically a collective fan fiction universe that people write in. So anyway, within their own communities, they can have different reasons for thinking they see things different ways, and it's like, maybe, maybe not. Time travel. They might be from different timelines, or they might be having flashbacks or remembrances of other timelines, you know? Maybe they were implanted with false memories or memories that are incomplete, or just the fact that, remembering past lives is a inaccurate process or something. Like... They come to a consensus based on collective agreement of different beliefs they're negotiating between each other.
Some of the ships, I think that was part of the offshoot of Winter Haven. But Brown, he actually filed the first patent for the electrogravitic generator called a gravitator. And that particular device was handed over to the U.S. government and the U.S. Navy to try to build a saucer craft. So it's rumored that he was stealing technology for the Nazis by with Tesla's workshop. So I can't confirm that, but according to SSP insider William.
Conspiracy theorists have this weird idea that Nazi Germany was super advanced secretly. Guys, if they were, they maybe they would have won the war, but they didn't, and they suck. Like, fascism is pretty bad at being successful long term. Nazi Germany couldn't even make it as long as they did. Like, it's pretty impressive considering how shitty they were running things. Their weapons programs, their wonder weapons, and how badly those went. You don't have to pretend that they were, like, super advanced. You're literally buying Nazi propaganda.
William Tompkins. He later worked for the Douglas Aircraft Company. So the U.S. Navy basically shut down his funding. They claimed they didn't believe him, and then they just handed it over to Douglas Aircraft Company, and that also was funneled under.
Hats off, Avant Gardner. What do you want me to wear?
Solar Warden. So I'm going to go a little bit into Schumann with two ends on, supposed to be two ends on the end, but Winifred Otto Schumann was allegedly involved in developing the first real saucers for the Germans in the 1920s and 1930s. And the document...
Again, the Nazis did not have flying saucers. That's not a thing that happened. Bullet Crown. All right. Johnny Dice, thanks for 14 months, says thanks for the laughs, insights, and hats, Hannah. Thank you for watching, and thanks for the subscription.
Over here is from Project Paperclip, which basically showed it that he was working at a classified facility in Dayton, Ohio, which was working on some of this anti-gravity technology. So that was another little key to the puzzle there. But and he's also known for the Schumann resonance. That's most likely how you probably heard his name. And of course, we're gonna throw in here some Nikola Tesla. I've actually talked a little about the new spell and some of the other videos I've done. So this information came through channel means, and if you have trouble, I know it's the text is small, but essentially one of the last devices that through remote viewing it appears Nikola Tesla was working on this bell-shaped object which could reverse all aging, disease, and take away all hunger temporarily.
What? That's not how anything works. Are they going to try and say that Nikola Tesla invented med beds?
Anyway.
Which are fake anyway, but you know.
And this particular technology was allows you to dematerialize and rematerialize.
Like Star Trek transporters.
And so the Nazis wanted to get the release of Germans from Antarctica.
Oh, by the way, chat, I should mention this, or maybe not, because I'll go on a tangent. We finished, I've told you guys how Baha and I go back and forth on binging shows. We just got done with her show. I have picked a new show, chat. Do you know what show we're going to binge? All of? I'm pretty excited. It's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Wanted to get their hands on this technology, and eventually did, and rebranded it Diglocka.
Oh, the Glock, the Bell. This is known as the Bell? This is known as the Bell. It's a pretty common conspiracy amongst these kind of people. They think that Germany had a flying saucer / time machine. The originator of this idea is literally from a piece of fiction. They just stole something from a fiction book. Mr. Whiskers says, I can take away ginger temporarily too. I have to go get a sandwich real quick.
And I'm going to go into Diglocka just a bit. So the reason why I'm showing this slide is because we're going to go into more of the German aspects of the SSP, because the Germans, unlike the Americans who I guess would, when we look at like the scientific skunk works, the Americans have, they have let their religion,
I think it'd be fine in this context, but just in case, I'll do that for now.
Preconceived notions affect or color their research. But the Germans basically stated that let's just make everything an open book. Let's create a whole new science. And I'm not just talking about the Ananabra, who is all over the world trying to gather ancient tech, but the whole principle of this Nazi philosophy was to become better than human, or uberhuman. And so
oh my god, you want to say ubermensch so bad. Gnome Pickle says this shall now be called the universal conspiracy theory of everything. The gnome has spoken.
So what we're seeing here are the different types of Reichs representing the different German groups. So not all of them are the same. Obviously, we got the Third Reich. Most people would be familiar with that. If you're not, then you probably haven't gone through world history at all. But
no, I don't think he's a fan of the Nazis. I think he thinks that the current leadership of the world includes Nazis or something, based on this card.
So just skipping through that one, the Fourth Reich is the one that's we're going to be focusing on today, or at least for a little bit, and then eventually the Fifth. So that the Fourth Reich are the Antarctic Germans, who later settled Mars and other planets off-world. And then
This is just the premise of that one thing. What's the... I don't know if it's based on a book or a comic, but there are movies that are the Nazis in space. Iron Sky, thank you. This is just Iron Sky.
the Fifth Reich are the space Germans, and as you can see, they prefer to call themselves they prefer to call themselves Germans, not in Nazis is what I'm trying to go to. But let's go on here. So beginning in 1918.
Are you literally just saying that all Germans are secretly Nazis, or... I'm confused.
We have groups such as the Vril Society, who was channeling Nordic and Draco communications with Thule's secret society and the forest foothills of the Alps. So we have over here Maria Orstrich, and she was channeling the beings from Aldebaran,
Believes they channel aliens regularly.
who helped improve on that Diglocka technology to
I have not seen Nazis at the center of the world now.
modify it so it can be used for time travel as well as anti-gravitic
Propulsion?
possibilities,
Oh.
and teleportation. So it appears, at least
If we have teleportation, why do we need UFOs? I'm kind of confused, if I'm being honest. Sorry, screaming at the radio. Let me find them.
through
How did I get the bullet crown? A fan made it. Screaming at the radio said, wow, I leave a couple of weeks and now there's a freaking bullet crown. Mm-hmm.
ACIO, it appears the Germans settled Mars
Yes, Speak to Aliens is the same as channel. That's fine.
using Diglocka in the 1840s, and we're going to go into a little bit of that just a bit.
So you registered zombie?
So, and half the timeline, because, but let's just continue on here. So the reason why I'm showing you all this is that there are, it was the Nordics who were promoting the final solution to Heinrich Himmler, and
Okay, this is fucked up. No. Look, I don't like to talk about the Holocaust on this channel because it's genuinely fucking awful and depresses everyone, and it's one of the worst things human beings have ever done to each other. It's an industrial scale genocide. So I don't like to talk about it for pretty obvious reasons other than to talk about what we learned from it. And this is something that frustrates me. It is that if you try and say that aliens told the Nazis to do this, it completely undercuts the reality that the unspeakable evils that were perpetrated upon victims of the Holocaust, it was all created by people. That evil that is so far beyond what most people can comprehend without it having to be expressly like, this is what happened. As people who need to learn from history, we need to understand and reconcile the fact that this is monstrously evil, and also the people that perpetrated this are very human. This keeps us from getting negligent, getting complacent in seeing things around us as potential on-ramps to this kind of ideology. If you think that these people are so separate and different, and oh, they weren't just, people that did this, oh, aliens told humans to do this, humans would never be capable of this, how are you going to see the signs around you when people around you start doing the same things, start moving down the same paths towards scapegoating, conspiracy theories, wanting violence against people they don't understand or who are different from them? The Holocaust was a human thing, obviously. It's frustrating to see anyone try and downplay that. Astral Storm, thanks for 16 months.
those particular Nordics were very racist. But there was an alternate reality which the Nordics didn't promote Himmler, and so there was no final solution, and the Germans actually embraced the Jews. And
okay, he's doing so much worse. Okay, he's doing so much worse. 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 Okay, so he is actively saying that, on their own, he believes that Nazis are tolerant. Fuck this guy. Fuck this piece of shit. This is disgusting.
That's another reality where we have another
Does that count as conspiracy theorist tells on themselves? Yes.
planetary corporation called Kruger that originated from that reality. But by the 1920s, Thule member Dietrich Eckart invited Adolf Hitler.
Did I see someone at a tantrum? I mean, he does all the time. Trump blows up on the prosecutors for keeping him from attending PGA event in Scotland. On Sunday afternoon, Donald Trump pitched a fit that his legal problems are keeping him from attending a golf tournament being held at his golf course in Aberdeen, Scotland. Taking to his Truth Social account, the former president claimed, "I can't go," and blamed it on the crazed radical left lunatics, communists, Marxists, and fascists who are ruining his golf enjoyment. According to the former president, who is facing 4 separate indictments and a handful of civil lawsuits, I have the Stayshire Senior PGA Championship in Aberdeen, Scotland on my great course. I can't go. I have to stay around and fight off crazed radical left lunatics, communists, Marxists, and fascists. I wouldn't want to be in Europe and watch this country destroying scum work their disgusting and illegal magic on unsuspecting Republican leaders who just don't think it's appropriate to fight fire with fire, but we will win, make America great again. God damn. He is the worst.
To these black magic seances.
Does the alternate reality stuff count as dimensions beyond our own? Yeah, I'd say yes. Alternate realities count.
To be basically... remote viewing showed that Hitler was supposed to be the next Antichrist, but...
What?
Yeah.
There's no Antichrist. What? But you think... Okay, but you think he wasn't anti-Semitic, but you think he was the Antichrist. Oh. The implications of that are... maybe not. Ew. Okay. Tea with Goblin says the concept of monstrosity relies upon a desire to distance oneself from a perceived other so as to better protect the image we have of ourselves as moral, normal, and healthy. That's why it's important to humanize Nazis, not empathize with them, but to acknowledge that they are people like us, because it's only our vigilance that stops us from becoming like them. Baycop says, I bet this guy's reference section is nuts. Pages and pages of reliable sources.
And there's also something else that was really strange about that era. Like, going back using remote viewing, it appears there were a group of negative ETs, the Matra, the Nordics, some of the Draco. They were eyeballing humanity as, there was in this remote viewing experience, there was maps all over Europe of the different bloodlines that they wanted to get their hands on. So when World War II started, everybody was licking their chops on how all these bodies they were going to abduct and take over. So there was a certain group within Nazi high command, as well as within the Soviet Union, that were actually working together. And there was jump rooms between Berlin.
Okay, so for a period, the Nazis and the Soviets did work together, and then Hitler's forces invaded the Soviet Union in one of the stupidest moves probably in military history. I don't know enough about military history to say that. And does anyone know about World War II and military history enough to tell me, like, what the fuck was Hitler doing there? Like, he was literally working with the Soviets at this point, right? Why the fuck did he start attacking them? What was the point?
In Moscow, where they were working secretly to try to counteract that plan of these negative ETs. So I
understand that Hitler doesn't like communism, but like, why didn't he, like, did he think he could take on another front in the war at that moment? Like, it seems like he should have said, like, hey, I hate this group of people, but strategically I will not fight them until I'm done with this other front of the war. This is what I'm talking about. I think when people like this, they were talking about, like, the UFOs and stuff and Nazis and saying that they had sci-fi technology. I think the Nazis were just dumbasses. Like, I think fascists are just idiots. They think so highly of themselves that they don't realize reality. Fascism is built on lies and conspiracy, so you can't make good decisions. Jesus.
That's why there's a scorched earth policy when Hitler invaded the Soviet Union. There was trying to displace all the bloodlines and the experiments that they were about to do. So there's a lot of, even though the history books may suggest one certain history is going on, we actually find there's a lot of other secret factors at play that's affecting the time.
What? Okay, did you guys... Okay, the bottom thing on this says, in this Nazi parallel world, okay, holy shit. Okay, I gotta read this. Okay, fuck. Gnome Pickles says it was essentially Nazi high command overestimating their abilities mixed with a desperate need for oil stockpiles. The reason behind the Blitz was that Germany needed oil super bad. Their stocks were super low throughout the war. Okay. Any thought he won on the other front? Okay. They're not actual shells. They're toy. Someone made this. It's a bullet crown, but they're plastic. It's like toy stuff. I would not put anything with gunpowder in it directly next to my head for reference. Anyway, what he says, and he's clearly a fucking idiot and likes the Nazis, because what he says happened on Nazi parallel Earth, this is what he's saying he thinks about the Nazis. Hitler didn't implement final solution, embraced Jews, did not attack Soviet Union, encouraged nations to join the Axis by offering advanced technology to free them from the quote-unquote cabal. No interracial marriage unless you want to live in camps. What does that even mean, want to live in camps? Just as a statement. The implications of how he even framed this hypothetical disgusts me. Like, you don't want to. You're saying that there's an authoritarian government that doesn't allow interracial marriage and will put you in a concentration camp for it. That's not wanting to be in a camp, you fucking psycho. Anyway, it says, Washington Monument blown up and replaced with a 150-foot column spinning eagle. I don't know what that's about. And finally, it says, minimum wage is $540 per hour equivalent. Everyone lives in mansions. If everyone's in a mansion, then no one is in a mansion. What?
Timeline.
If everyone made, like, if it was still basically a market economy like we live in today, too, which it couldn't be at $540 an hour for everyone, like, how would that work? Again, like, I don't understand why he believes the things he does.
But in the Nazi parallel world, Earth, that which the Nazis won World War II, they did not attack the Soviet Union. They also encourage other nations to join by offering them advanced technology and for cooperation.
Fuck off! If the Nazis had advanced technology, they would have used it. They didn't. They lost.
Not necessarily for the cabal, but for the Nazi high command, I guess you could say. There was no interracial marriage unless you want to live in the camps.
Oh God, he says it so fucking blasé, like he doesn't even understand what's wrong with his statement.
They blew up the Washington Monument, replaced it with a 150-foot tall spinning eagle. And minimum wage, of course, they have Marx over there in the New American Reich. Actually, the ruling party is the ARN party, which is Aryan Reich Nazi Party, and which Trump is a very high member of. He's actually the governor of the East Coast region, the whole region there. But moving on here, so some of this stuff may be reviewed for people who've heard parts of this presentation elsewhere, but you can get a Mercedes-Benz or BMW that had a 50,000 mile charge, only cost $5,000 off the lot.
What?
Of course,
He's literally just trying to make a case in hypothetical. It's like he's fan-fictioned his way into trying to be like, no, this is why I think the Nazis are okay, you fucking loser, you anti-Semitic piece of garbage. He's like, no, it's not the other stuff. I want super imaginary magic cars and everyone to live in a mansion. Oh my God.
Marx, but yeah, East Coast was
yes, H. Baird.
split up between the Japanese on the West Coast and so And then they also gave Nikola Tesla an unlimited budget. So in that particular
Oh my god, they're so obsessed with Tesla.
Unless you're, like I said, unless you're...
Wait. Nikolai. Where's Nikola Tesla from? Would the Nazis have fucking hated him? I genuinely don't know anything about him as a person outside of...
Decided to live in the camps. Most people are living in...
Oh! He's from Romania? Oh. Oh yeah, I don't think they would not have liked Nikola Tesla. Holy shit.
Mansions, and life is quite, I guess you could say, pleasant for most people anyway. But I'm not here saying that they necessarily got everything right. It's not everything's perfect over there, but they did manage to take out Monarch from Paul Serene, and we're going to go into some of the planetary corporations later on. So,
are we out of the Nazi shit yet? Because I'd like to be done with that.
We have that alternate reality that's coming over here, and then we also have cyborgs from our future.
Is he trying to say he saw this in a vision or something? How does he think he knows what happened in this alternate world? Yes, he and his group do what they call... It's not just them. This predates them. There's this nonsense idea about remote viewing. The idea that you can, like, close your eyes and psychically see things in the future or past. Like Raven from That's So Raven. But also the past instead of just the future. The past, the present, and the future. Actually, maybe it's just the past and the present. Psychic is seeing the future. Remote viewing is seeing the present or the past. So you could, like, scry, basically, if you're familiar with D&D.
Future affecting...
Isn't this just Man in the High Tower? No, Man in the High Tower is actually good.
And that have...
Castle, you're right. It's High Castle, sorry.
Settled Mars, and now the Germans... in this timeline are gearing up to start settling...
Is this a trip report panel at AeroWidCon? That went above my head.
Settling their colonies, and here's some of the early versions of the technology, the JFM. And so even as early as 1922, they were, again, a lot of this was the extension of Tartaria and those the Sonora Aerospace Club. But by 36, Nazi integrated programs were advancing along nicely, so they're building larger type mothership type crafts.
No.
And then, and of course, we have the Die Glocke, so the 90,000 RPM
comes from a fiction
mercury
book.
drive, which evidently was very toxic for the inhabitants who occupied that vessel. Actually, some of the Greys were quite shocked when some of the Germans showed up in space with that thing and tried it. They felt pity and tried to help them out. But
wait, did you just say the aliens felt pity for the Nazis?
Some of the early tech of the, like I said, the cylinder-shaped crafts. They like to later on. Solar Warden would convert submarines because it's just simply all they had to do is make it airtight and put an anti-gravity drive on it. But some more of the early type crafts. So then we're going to roughly around 41. Let's see. I know they started building the base in 41. I'm not sure the exact time when they got permission, but all parts of the moon are basically claimed territory. So you can't just go up there and build a resort. You have to ask permission for the beings that are in that territory.
I don't believe you. In the pictures, they don't even have clothes. I think I can take them. I think they're like, it's science alien rules. Like, I feel like if you're on the moon... Oh no, I invented space colonialism. Never mind. Fuck. Oh god. Oh god. I'm just Moon Columbus.
And there are no human, at least I couldn't comment if there were humans, at least at this time when the Germans were negotiating. They had to negotiate with some of these beings over here at the bottom right. And I believe Lunar Operations Command is located in the Jules Verne crater. But so they were given a 20-acre area by the Draco. The Germans were allowed to set up a base there. All right, so Moving on here, we got base 211. So this was already being built out by 38, and by 1940, 30,000 people were already living there, being serviced by German U-boats. And they were, of course, using their geothermal energy.
Why weren't they using the flying saucers that you claim they had? Tea with Goblin says, bad, Hannah, bad. Don't do space colonialism. Put the flags and smallpox down. Social justice spray bottle. Thank you. Gnome Pickles says, sir, your flyer said there would be drinks and a buffet at this conference. Can we please get to that part, or can we just go? Please let us leave. We won't tell anyone you trapped us here.
And I guess this is actually a map from that era, but the actual base is of course it's located under the ice, and the German U-boats that they would have to go, all that has to be mapped out as they go through all the cavities in the under from the ocean into the caves there system. But yeah, so this was all built out by and of course by 41 they're already starting to settling the moon. So Germany paid off all their international bank loans and were bartering with other countries in supplies at this time. They were also managed to get rid of their central banks. As a result, KZB Bank
Dog whistle, dog whistle, dog whistle.
Cabal declared war on them. That's because the Germans were doing so successful by just getting rid of the parasitic bankers.
Dog whistle.
That's
Yikerinos. Wow, he's going real hard on this. This guy fucking sucks.
Partly why their economy was able to was able to afford to do this war. Also, by the way, there was another alternate reality where we never got a Federal Reserve Bank, and in that particular reality, there was no World War I in the United States, no World War II, and also
what?
There were all the shops stayed small. It's like little.
World War I started before we had a central bank, right? World War I started 1912 or 14? When was the Federal Reserve put into place? Hold on. Start of World War I. Not to mention, 1914, okay. When was the Federal Reserve created? 1913. So a year difference. Oh God.
A small mom and pop business. So we never got like.
Why do you think that the American Federal Reserve has anything to do with a war that started in Europe after a guy got shot? Wait, did he get shot or was it a grenade? I don't remember. I know he was in a car. They initially missed him. Then one of the guys got him eating a sandwich. Shot? Okay. Is it Franz Ferdinand? Is it Ferdinand?
This huge corporate culture.
They missed with the grenades? Gotcha.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's keep rolling on here with some of these slides. Base 211, Antarctica. So near the end of the war, Hitler, realizing the Allied forces may win the Second World War, executed a contingency escape plan.
I don't think Hitler realized that until the bunker, really.
Allowing many Germans to escape to South.
I think a lot of the drugs and the megalomania prevented him from really seeing what was going on until he really couldn't deny it anymore, and I think we know what happened then.
South America, Antarctica. When the war was going badly for the Germans, the new Schwabenländers, in Antarctica as they call themselves, viewed Hitler as insane and decided against providing any war support as in air superiority, because they already had those flying anti-gravity, the Foo Fighters. So at that point...
I'm sorry, did you say that the Nazi ships were called Foo Fighters? Like the David Grohl band?
Hitler, I mean, he's still out there doing remote viewing. We see him on a dark ship vessel. He's wearing an admiral type uniform, but
like, we know how the Foo Fighters got their name. I'm pretty sure they said it was because Mr. T, like Foo. I thought that they had said that. Am I wrong? I thought it was a reference to Mr. T, like fool. but fool. Eh.
In this particular
No, am I wrong? Where did I hear that then?
timeline, I think whatever role or position he has been negated. But
Foo Fighter was an early name for UFOs based on Navy pilots? What does foo mean in this case?
I think he's also been cloned out and replaced many times. But moving on here.
Thank you for clearing that up for me, chat.
So at this point, we have
You had syphilis too? Oh, everyone had syphilis back then.
General.
That's absolutely not true. Don't internalize that. I just said a thing that's completely not true. A lot of people had syphilis, though.
Eisenhower and Patton went to some of these underground.
It's a nonsense word. Gotcha.
Nazi facilities and were shocked at how advanced the Nazis were, and so I guess they decided instead of trying to fight them, I guess just join them. I guess so they gathered up the ones that they could get I guess bribe and bring back to the U.S. and set up under Project Paperclip to and this one over here is at Fort Bliss, but a lot of these paperclip Nazis are down in Area 51. Many of them are still alive, 120, 140 years old.
No, they're not. That's not how age works. People die. I understand you think that there's some sort of alien technology. There isn't, so no, they're dead. Operation Paperclip is a real thing wherein the U.S. brought in Nazi scientists and other people from different fields and brought them to the U.S., gave them like immunity and new identities, or maybe not new identities, but gave them citizenship and stuff as long as they worked for the U.S. government. It's fucked up, but it is what happened. It's also how Werner von Braun, yes, most famously, who was involved in the development of stuff at NASA.
But
again, none of that was like a secret. Like even contemporarily, like there's a joke song written about it. Like that was a known thing.
Yeah, so to garner cooperation of the Nazi scientists and engineers, the cabal agreed to give Germany the equivalent of $1 quadrillion in debt forgiveness.
$1 quadrillion. That's more money than exists in the world today.
As well as a Marshall Plan to...
I don't know the current number. Last time I looked it up, I thought the rough estimate of the currency in the world is like $40 trillion or something. I don't know what it is now, but like, there's not even that much money in the world.
Rebuild the motherland. And so in 47, under urging of Nazi spy George Bush Sr.,
okay.
Congress set up senior, I think that's sheriff. The sheriff one. It was the senator, so the senior's father. Congress set up the Office of Strategic Service, or OSS, which was the precursor for the CIA to get a hold of advanced technology. And with help of George Herbert Bush,
463.6 trillion is the global wealth. Is that including assets or strictly currency? I'm good with either. I'm just curious.
Bill Donovan and Alan Dulles, OSS, and Nazi SS merged to create CIA, and coined Project Paperclip and its Nazi counterpart Odessa. The CIA covertly
all assets and currency. Okay, yeah. So not even $1 quadrillion.
Transferred roughly 50,000 Nazi scientists into the American industrial complex. And by the way, George Herbert Walker Bush was a teenager at the time of Nikola Tesla, and he was actually in.
When was George H.W. Bush birth year? 1924 he was born, so no.
Evidently he worked in Nikola Tesla's workshop, and
No, that doesn't add up.
That's why the Curious George book series was based on him, because he was always trying to get Tesla secrets and handing it over to the Nazis.
You think that's what the Curious George books are about? That's quite a loose retelling of the story. What the fuck?
Operation High Jump. So
this guy is real curious by stealing our secrets and sending them to the Nazis. Curious? I don't know if I'd call him that. Okay, well, you're gonna have to, because I made a children's book series about it. And I called it Curious George.
So now we got
What? It's about a guy stealing secrets for the Nazis? No, it's just about, like, a monkey. And the guy with a yellow hat. He learns things.
an issue here. The U.S. thinks they just won World War II, and but they're going
The Allies won World War II. Do you think the U.S. was the only group of people fighting the Nazis?
in these underground
We got in late.
dumps in Germany and seeing this amazing technology, and there's rumors of a base in Antarctica. And of course, I have a picture of this slide, and I think it's a 52 when all the crafts were flying over DC. But the Germans were putting pressure on the Americans for some kind of truce. But it would still take a while. But I guess the Americans were still trying to. They thought they could still use force, because essentially during World War II, the Americans could simply just outproduce the Germans, even though the Germans were more technologically superior. They just couldn't produce as fast, I guess, because we had so many factories and they weren't bombed out. But
No.
so
Again, yes, the United States did help in that they had an active, manufacturing capacity that was used by other allies. Even before we entered the war, we produced things and gave them to the allies and stuff. But that was not the only reason. The Nazis weren't, super technologically advanced relative to other comparable nations. They didn't have alien technology.
so we thought we could just go down to Antarctica.
As it turns out, if you're a fascist, which requires basically purging intellectuals, academics, etc., from your society, and in particular people based on, race or ethnicity or whatever, as it turns out, that's actually a really bad strategic move. Regardless of how bad of a person you are, to be a... Oh, God. There's a raid. Give me a sec. Myranosaurus, thank you for the raid. Welcome, raiders. I'm Hannah. Cover all sorts of stuff. I am a variety streamer. I'm a leftist. I am trans. My pronouns are she, her. Today we're covering a conspiracy theory this guy is giving a lecture about. Lecture makes it sound a little too official. He is a bad guy. His conspiracy theory, unfortunately, involves anti-Semitism, which we do not approve of here. It is disgusting. Please take a look at the box in the top left corner, and if that's something you can't deal with, completely understand. Totally get it. We are watching this, talking about why it's not true, talking about conspiracy ideology in general. I often cover conspiracies and stuff, debunk them, talk about them, and how they relate to politics, and all stuff. So make sure you check out my Rhinosaurus. Hope you had a good stream, and let's keep going.
Antarctica under operation.
That's perfect. You've been laughing at Nazi cringe tonight. Well, there you go. At least the tone change is gonna not be too severe. Oh, and we're playing bingo. If you want a bingo card, grab yourself one. We'll go over it in a little bit. What's already been marked off.
Operation High Jump, and
Hate how accepted the myth of Nazi technological superiority is. Oh, it's awful. I don't think the History Channel helped. I'm not the first person to bring this up, but the History Channel had this weird obsession with Nazi Germany, and it's interesting. I also like documentaries about, Nazi Germany, because I think how that society and how fascism, in particular the Nazi brand of fascism, arose to power. I think that's interesting and important for people to learn, so you don't allow the same things to happen again, to see warning signs of this sort of authoritarian nonsense, before it becomes a huge issue. Of course, there's red flags all over the place these days, but in general. But on the History Channel, they didn't just do, here's actual informative stuff about the Nazis. It straight up had shows about, oh, let's look at the Nazi super weapons, Nazi super tanks, Nazi super planes, and it's if they had been so successful as you are acting as though they were, maybe they would have won the war. But they didn't. The Wonder Weapon program was a disaster. As it turns out, fascists, because they don't have their feet in reality, aren't good at making decisions, especially those that require objective, analyzation of things, analysis, whatever. So they're gonna go, oh, we need the biggest tank ever. We need the biggest tank ever. We need a super big gun. We need the biggest planes, bigger than Britain and then everyone else in Europe. Maybe that's not as strategically advantageous as having a bunch of other smaller, cheaper planes, right? It was less about strategy and more about we need to look big and strong and all that shit. And it didn't work. It didn't work. One of the reasons they lost the war among many. So don't let anyone lie to you and act like Nazi Germany, like, you see this so much. Awful people being like, well, obviously Nazi Germany is bad, but blah, 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 blah. I've seen variations of like, but look at this tech thing. Oh, the trains ran on time, which isn't even true. Like, there's this weird dichotomy in the trope of Nazism where somehow in pop culture, some people got the idea that, like, obviously Nazis are morally wrong, which I would hope everyone agrees with, despite the fact that we know there are people who unfortunately don't understand that. I would hope that 99% of people understand that. But even amongst non-Nazi people, there are just ignorant people who go, well, obviously they were evil, but they had this other thing. They feel like they were efficient or something. Incorrect. Not true. You can absolutely look at them and go, wow, they were awful and authoritarian and also really bad at running their country. Wow, it's almost like fascism doesn't really have upsides except for the very few in power. Crazy. And even that not long term. Look at what Hitler got for all his work. A little gift from himself. In a bunker. Hydrate. Anyway, Gnome Pickle says, giving the jerk a bit of credit, at the start of the war, Allied equipment was inferior as after World War I, Germany had spent a significant amount of their budget in military modernization. However, the Allies swiftly caught up and would, for example, build artillery that was more mobile and shot further than Nazi guns. Also, Allies made small arms that were lighter, cheaper, and more durable. Also probably didn't help. Well, I already went over the stuff I was saying, so that's fine. Look what happened to Mussolini. Oh yeah. This is what I always think about. When I look at people like John Doyle or like Nick Fuentes, I always think to myself, do you know how the story ends for most fascists? Like, if you were to succeed, if you were to catch the car, so to speak, that you've been chasing, what do you think's gonna happen? Like, do you think you're gonna effectively run an administrative state and no one's gonna be upset with you and there'll be no issues for you? Reminds me of that Doctor Who scene where the person's like, oh, we're gonna win, and then the doctor's like, and then what? If you win, what's gonna happen when someone like you comes along and decides they don't like how the system is run, but from the other side? Like, it's not sustainable. Period. Meek says, the Nazis were bad, but they had good aesthetic, brah. I mean, have you seen their jackboots? Sarcasm. Oh, God. The amount of people... I genuinely cannot understand people whose have an appeal to the Nazi aesthetic. Because, do you know how many garage sales I've been to? And I'm in Michigan, so I don't know if this differs, but I've been to several garage sales or something in Michigan, and people just have, like, knives and shit with swastikas on them, like Nazi memorabilia shit. Like, I assume those people are straight up fucking Nazi pieces of shit. But, like, in general, what is wrong with people? Anyway.
The American forces were annihilated. So at that point, they sent forth an expedition of 4,000 naval personnel and 13 huge ships, helicopters and airplanes. And I have a slide about that. Just next slide, I'll show you some of that. But the goal was to map the alleged goal, right? The official storyline was to map and catalog all the coastline of the continent, including minerals and wildlife, and other occupants that were living there. The entire expedition was the last 6 months. So, and then of course what happens is, so they radio back. So there were certain coastal regions that were free of ice, and the water was 38 degrees. All right, so. Immediately after this event, the entire expedition was halted and all the ships and naval personnel were made to return to the States. A ceasefire was initiated, allowing the Nazis time to fortify their defenses. The Nazis had advanced technology, but their fleet of anti-gravity saucers were
Again, flying saucers. No one has flying saucer technology to our knowledge.
too small in numbers,
Much less people in like the 40s.
as well as their population to fight the entire world. As a result of this mission is still classified, and only Admiral Byrd, who was interviewed by a Chilean journalist on his trip home from the expedition, commented on the sudden.
Admiral Byrd is a real person who actually went to the Arctic. So, no, this didn't happen. H-Beard says, stealing stuff with swastikas off dead Germans was a huge thing for American soldiers during World War II, to the point that both Germans and Japanese would booby-trap these types of things. What you saw may be war memorabilia. I hope it was that. If it was that, I wouldn't be selling it openly at a garage sale. Like, if it's something you're going to keep for some reason, it's something that goes in the attic, in a box, in a box, in a box. It's something maybe you have as like this is a piece of like one of the most disgusting things in human history, or you can destroy it. That would also be fine. Who's just has it out on a fucking table at a garage sale like, hey, there's a Nazi dagger? Weird.
Return home. He stated that there was a danger which this expedition had.
Oh, I've seen the stuff of the experimental flying saucers. Yeah, there's a reason we didn't continue to try and explore that route.
Encounter that posed a threat to every nation in the free world. Okay. So the Antarctic Germans.
Your version of the free world includes Nazis. So I don't really give a shit what you think.
Got their breakaway civilization entrenched down in Antarctica. The Americans.
I did always find the term the free world very weird in the first place, but it definitely doesn't include fucking Nazis.
Are powerless to do anything about it. At this point, Eisenhower is all worried about what's going on with the Antarctic Germans. They're infiltrating the American Republic. And so between 45 and 48, the Nazis began infiltrating all world governments. And the Nazis made an oath to resurrect the Fourth Reich in America.
Again, I don't think that Nazis... Maybe this is... And, fair enough. Maybe I'm underestimating Nazis. The Nazis' rise to power in Germany was pretty specific to the time and place and context. Don't get me wrong. Of course, fascism has arisen elsewhere, and we see pockets of fascism and fascism stuff going on in the U.S., the hardcore Trump people, we constantly hear them talk about wanting to overthrow the government, install Donald Trump as, like, King Emperor of the United States, January 6th. Yes, of course, this is a thing that exists, but they exist as a result of being able to whip a bunch of people into a frenzy due to a specific set of material circumstances. Like, it's well documented things that make people more vulnerable to cult-like mentality and fascism, because these things are not exactly the same thing, but they go hand in hand. Fascism requires conspiracies and a cult-like mentality, right? There are other factors as well, but they're included. We look at this when we see the stuff that the Nazis and Hitler himself espoused in his speeches. The premise of the Nazis' anti-Semitism was based upon their conspiracy theories that they were saying that these people, oh God, I just hate talking, I'm sorry, I hate talking about the Holocaust. It makes me so uncomfortable. It's just so depressing, but I need to talk about it. Okay. The way that Hitler and the Nazi Party convinced enough of the population that it was okay to be openly anti-Semitic and trying to kill people simply because of their ethnicity or race, or because they were differently abled, or whatever variety of reasons, part of that involved conspiracies. Hitler and the Nazis spun up large conspiratorial narratives that the reason they lost World War I and the reason that the economic situation in post-World War I Germany was so bad was because, he claimed, that they were being undermined by people in Germany that were Jewish. That they were secretly working together to undermine, like, true German stuff, And And they needed to, like, make Germany great again by getting rid of their perceived enemies. And their perceived enemies, in this case, the scapegoat was primarily Jewish people. I don't want to discount the other victims of the Holocaust, of course. There's a long list of people victimized by the Nazis through these camps, through ghettos, through all the mistreatment and murder. But generally, the most affiliated is Jews because it was the target of so much directly of Hitler's ire. Literally, I don't know how many people know this, but if you read Hitler's final will and testament, which he had dictated in the bunker, we're not going to get through this video today all the way, by the way. I'm going on too many rants. I knew this was going to happen. We'll have to split this into parts. So today will be part 1. Anyway, where was I? Shoot. Hitler spun up these anti-Semitic conspiracy theories in order to justify authoritarian crackdowns everywhere on Jewish people, of course, because he himself and the Nazi Party were incredibly anti-Semitic. But again, spreading these conspiracies that they were secretly working to undermine Germany and destroy, the Deutschland, we need... Now I'm just rambling, sorry. Anyway, conspiratorial thinking is one of the things that goes on behind fascism, and it scares me seeing them so close together, because it's literally one of the ways that Hitler and the Nazis convinced enough of the population that what they were doing is okay. Like, there was a long run-up to the Holocaust. It didn't happen one day. Hitler didn't rise to power and then suddenly decide, all right, today we're doing the thing, and they took all the Jewish people out of Germany on that day. No. It had a build-up. It was a political push for conspiracy theories in politics, for conspiracy theories of scapegoating other individuals that they don't like, blaming their own problems on other people. It's disgusting. We see a lot of the same thing today. We still see people on the far right being incredibly anti-Semitic. Look at, some years back, when unfortunately Heather Heyer was killed, at that same event, you had, like, neo-Nazi alt-right shitbags running around with tiki torches shouting blood and soil, which is literally a Nazi catchphrase. Lügenpressen, the lying press, is something that Hitler called, the journalism all the time. Lügenpressen. Again, it's not to say that you need to trust every news source, but when people in power are calling any news source that speaks out and criticizes them Lügenpressen, the lying press, fake news, not good. Not good.
Together with Nikola Tesla's technology, stolen loot, and secret police force headed by George Bush Sr., the Fourth Reich forged their master plan and final solution. So they're still working on that one, but the martial law and all that. But I don't see that happening. They can try as they like, but it's not going to happen. This part, though, so Roswell UFO crash took place, and alleged media leaks about extraterrestrials show up in the media. So people... the narrative is starting to get out of control. The government wants to control the narrative, so that's why...
I've never understood that. If alien technology really existed, why would they keep it hidden this long, even if they decided to do a Men in Black? If anyone has seen Men in Black, you know what I'm talking about. Where they hoard alien technology and slowly release it over time. Sure. Why do we not have, like, super crazy spaceships then? It's been like 80 years since Roswell. So if they were like trickle-truthing, we still don't have rockets? Like magic alien sci-fi rockets? That doesn't really make sense to me. I don't get it. Oh, that reminds me though of, remember in Independence Day when they explained that, Apple computer code is like developed from alien technology? It's not a very smart movie. Someone sent this? Oh god, what is this?
With aliens in that crashed.
Okay. I'll cut this out, that's fine.
So, as you know, we've just discovered that there are aliens because of that spaceship with aliens in that crashed, and they've got super advanced technology, and it's all massively frightening.
So, what's the plan?
Well, keep it all a complete secret from everybody if at all possible.
Yes, of course. Although, why?
Well, if everybody knew that there were aliens, they might try and help us research or defend against them.
Why don't we want that?
Just general sort of, well, it's nice to have secrets, isn't it?
I've never even thought about that. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. We function as a society by, like, working together to do things, and if you had something as big as that, you would need to bring in a bunch of people in order to help deal with the research involved, deal with... Yeah, if you were worried about any sort of defense thing, you would need people involved to think about how to deal with it. We're a communal species. It makes sense that we work with each other. That's not even an avenue I've thought of in terms of UFO stuff.
Plus, the government is very keen that nobody should blame them for there being aliens.
Would people do that?
Well, they will when the aliens invade and they find out that we've known all along and could have been enlisting support all over the world in an effort to defend against them. There'll be hell to pay then, so...
Yeah, cross that bridge when we come to it. In the meantime, let's keep the existence of aliens, which is in no way our fault, or, at this point, exclusively our problem, a complete secret.
How?
Well, we did catch a break there, actually. Fortunately, the aliens landed somewhere very remote, which is also a well-known top-secret army base.
Thank God for that. So we can hide away the dead aliens in that facility. We can also do an autopsy on them there and not tell anyone the results.
Yes, and just to make sure that nobody ever finds out, we should film it.
Agreed.
Is there any other way that people can find out? I mean, between now and the alien invasion for which we'll leave the world unprepared.
Well, they do keep abducting people for weird sex.
Oh dear. Well, the compelling nature of the evidence those people are going to come back to Earth with is something we can do nothing about.
Yes, well, we'll just have to pray that by good fortune there continue to be no independent witnesses.
The other problem is that quite a few excellent black and white photographers have pictures of what can pretty much only be spaceships.
I hate to be a skeptic, but why are we doing any of this?
Well, it doesn't really make sense, does it? But it's just the sort of thing that generally governments do.
That's pretty fun.
Why they set up a National Security Council headed by MJ-12 to wrestle control of the alien presence away from the Department of Defense, the military. They felt that if they can compartmentalize and keep everything secret, even from the President of the United States, then the...
Kind of seems like you'd probably have a pretty ineffective president if that happened. Like, the entire point of... I mean, not the entire point. One of the reasons that the executive branch exists is to have... You know, we have branches that have a lot of people making calls. You know, we have, both branches of Congress, or both, rather, chambers of Congress, the Senate and the House, made up of many different members. We have the Supreme Court, which probably doesn't have enough members. But then it comes down to the executive, and there's someone at the top of that, the president. Because at the end of the day, if something serious happened and you needed someone to make a call on certain things, that's the person that makes a call, again, on specific things. I kind of feel like this is one of the things they should probably know about. Like, this would be foundational, you know? Like, let's say if aliens existed, and the president didn't know about it, but other people did. Let's say an alien incident happened. It gets out that there are aliens, or there's an alien attack or something. You would need someone who's the president, the executive of the American government, to know that, at minimum, so that when that happens, they themselves don't have to go through all the bullshit of like, oh my god, aliens are real? What? What does this mean? What do we know about them? What? Like, no, they would need to be prepared for that potential. Presidents receive, like, security briefings, like, every day. Like, here's what's going on in the world, you know? Just to make sure that they're abreast of things going on, they would need to know about aliens. Peoplord says, this is so extremely up my alley. My job in the Navy is electronic technician. The ET rate, Navy word for enlisted job, was established about a year after Roswell, and the inside lore is that they learned how to use semiconductors from the alien crashed ship, which is the core competency of my rate. Also, I'm Antifa super soldier, and I'm Jewish IRL. I'm the center of this universe. That's wonderful. I'm glad you could grace us with your presence. Kippy says there's no way aliens exist because Trump would never have shut the fuck up about it. True.
The Soviet Union, who they were secretly working with, within these the planetary corporations were working together, would not be able to infiltrate. So, and then so now we got a runaway national security state out of control. So at this point, NSC, National Security Council, was established, and they recruited their man, George Bush Sr., to persuade Congress into creating a secret Gestapo police force in the United States known as Officer Strategic Service, OSS. 2 years later, it became CIA. So the Nazis and the CIA initiated Operation Mockingbird, which would embed CIA agents into the media to control the narrative and to prevent further leaks from occurring. So, and again, the leaks were
in every newspaper in the country, in the world. That's a lot of people you need to train, and a lot of people you need to bring in on the conspiracy. If you had someone who had to be at basically every news outlet in the country, and this would have to expand as time goes on and there's more and more newspapers, radio stations that do news, and then of course later television news, you would need people at every single one, right? So every one of those people would have to be in on the conspiracy so they know what to look for. All you're doing is adding a ton of people in on the conspiracy that know about it and putting them inside news organizations where they might make relationships with other people who they might end up telling, or feel like, oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong, and I'm already here at a news place. Let's get this out. I'm a whistleblower. Not a good plan. Lennon Cat says, I think Men in Black had the only valid answer to this. A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals. The only reason I could imagine for keeping aliens secret from the public would be so they don't panic. I don't even think that's true, though. I really don't. Like, I get it. People are stupid, and I'm sure the reactions would be stupid, and we would have xenophobia in the literal sense, basically. But, like, putting something off like that, if it was true, wouldn't stop it? Just seems dumb.
Were associated with what was going on at Roswell. So they wanted, if any other aliens landed or something, they needed to control that narrative. So ever since then, 47, we haven't, I guess you could, I would say the press has been controlled since the time the Council of Foreign Relations emerged in the around 1910. But
so over a century, and there have been no whistleblowers. Amazing.
Moving on here. 47, a month after Operation High Jump was failure, Truman at that time takes measures to prevent a Nazi coup from taking place in the U.S. So he signed Executive Order 9835 requiring all federal employees to be vetted by the FBI to test their loyalties. So this again was
kind of imagining that has more to do with the Cold War than anything else.
Responsive all the Antarctic. There's 300,000 Antarctic Germans, and they're
no, there's not. There were no Antarctic Germans
infiltrating the United States. So later, 1950-54, Senator McCarthy era was.
Oh, yep. He's using Cold War Red Scare stuff to say that it was about Nazis, even though Soviets aren't Nazis, and also the Red Scare was a bad thing.
Tasked with tracking down more of these Antarctic Germans, and the public was told the big bad wolf were the communists. But like I said earlier, secretly the communists were working with the Americans on their own secret space program, because
pretty famously, the 20th century after World War II, at least as far as America is concerned, was dominated by a conflict with the USSR, a Cold War, a clash of ideologies, a clash of propaganda, a clash of space race era missions to space and the moon. It wasn't fucking Nazis.
Cabal the cabal is basically unified against the Antarctic Germans. So it's like the whole planetary cabal on this planet of all the bloodline families are fighting it. There's a war going on here, a Cold War, you could say. So,
the secret Cold War.
So this secret Cold War had now commenced, and the Nazis wanted to...
It's convenient that it took place at the exact same time as the real Cold War, huh? That's convenient. I'm gonna get water real quick. Bloodline families, it's anti-Semitism. I subbed to Empty Chairs. Thanks for gifting 2 Tier 1 subs. Guess I picked a good time to get water. Thank you.
The cabal to recognize the Antarctic Germans as a sovereign nation.
The Chair and Boxy are free to run away together. They hate each other, but it's not real hate. It's because deep down they both know they can't do without each other.
And the new Schwabenländers. Their identity was to be kept secret, as Antarctic Germans didn't want the world's people to panic and pressure their governments into using the new technology of nuclear bombs in Antarctica.
I mean, if it's full of Nazis, then by all means, I'm very anti, nuclear weapons, but if it's literal, Nazi soldiers and no civilians, and it's only a base full of Nazis in the Antarctic, maybe you can have a little one as a treat.
By this time, the Germans had time travel and interdimensional travel technology and was able to witness an alternate reality in which the cabal detonated a cobalt bomb in 1949, which had burned up the entire planet. So that's partly why they thought it was best to keep operational secrecy. And of course, a lot of you are probably familiar with MAD, mutually assured.
Yeah, they think time travel is real, and time travel if it's on the bingo card. Jitara with 20 months is 8 months away from my super soldier sub-baby.
Destruction, the cabal agreed to these terms because they also didn't want nuclear annihilation, and they didn't want the Germans to go public with their advanced technology such as free energy, which would make their fiat money systems obsolete.
See, that doesn't even make sense to me, because that wouldn't make fiat currency obsolete. That doesn't make any sense. The world would be better off for everyone, including rich people, if energy was free. I don't know if you know this, because even if energy was free, it would still, in theory, free, once you build whatever the system you have is, it can just get it, you know? First of all, I'm going to assume there would be upkeep costs, but even before that, there's going to have to be people building whatever this facility would be that would generate energy, and the equipment. You need people to run the equipment, to maintain the equipment, to clean the facility, to administrate the facility. It would still be a thing that costs money to operate, right? You would need people to manufacture parts for it. It would still be a thing. There's no such thing as free energy. But if energy was more abundant, if it was clean and abundant, that would be good for everyone because its price would go down. And energy is a cost that people have when running businesses or homes. So if people got rid of that expense, if you could have free energy in cars or whatever, it would be good for everyone, including wealthy people. So that doesn't even make sense. Yeah, we can look at the bingo card. It's been a while. But again, free energy doesn't exist, so doesn't matter. Though hopefully as time goes on, we will get better and cleaner. It is good that we're moving towards that stuff, but it's going too slow. Misattribution of coincidence. Conspiracy theorist tells on themselves for all his anti-Semitic shit. Ancient wisdom. We do have 34th thinly veiled anti-Semitism. PSYOP. My research said not by a researcher, so not number 15, but 51. Project Bluebeam. Wait, no. Did he say Project Bluebeam? No, you said 74, right? Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. Yeah, I'll fix 34. Sorry, that's bugging me too. I didn't notice. Thank you. 66. 66, dimension beyond our own. Was No, we haven't had 71, I don't think. 77 over anti-Semitism. Oopsie. Again, incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. Is there an example? I don't remember that happening necessarily. I'm not saying it's not. I just need an example. Believes they speak to aliens regularly. Yeah, for the channeling thing. Hannah's so exasperated, all she can do is place her head in her hands. That happened. I remember that. Okay. If anyone has an example of the thinks evidence is self-evident, let me go. Oh, thought I was searching for it? Gotcha. My bad. Spurious symbology for the Curious George thing? No, that would be predictive programming, if it's still on the bingo card.
Relinquishing control over the masses. And the Germans also promised to help advance the cabal by teaching them theory.
Bingo! Someone says bingo. Heathen child, send me your bingo card so I can check.
But not technology. And we're going to go into that in just a bit. So, at this point, roughly around 49, once the truce was made, actually...
Wait, where do you think there's a bingo?
We'll go into the actual treaty.
There's not a...
On when that
there's not even a bingo marked.
This truce was taking place around 300,000 Antarctic Germans begin to infiltrate the...
Right? Like, where's the bingo? Hey. One sec. We didn't have flat Earth. We didn't have flat Earth, right? Oh, duh, it's this way. I'm an idiot. Blu-rays over anti-Semitism. Free space believes they talk to aliens or racist disbelief of historical achievements. Did we have that? I don't think we did, because it wasn't racist disbelief of historical achievements. They almost did the opposite. They exculpated Nazi responsibility for the Holocaust, right? Okay, I'm gonna say no then, because I don't think we had racist disbelief of historical achievements.
The world
Unless I'm missing something that I forgot.
economy. The
I love you.
I love you.
cabal allowed the
Sorry. Good try, though.
Germans to become
I understand. That's an easy mistake to make.
embedded into thousands of corporations, Ivy League schools, defense contractors, research hospitals, banks, and so on, even all the way up into the federal government. And so these Germans would be given a fast track to upper management. A joint venture was now in the works, but peace would be uneasy. So let's go to 47. The Germans are starting to build out their 20-acre moon base.
I like acre as a unit of measurement on the moon.
Named Lunar Space
Just makes me think of farming on the moon.
Operations, Lunar Operations Command. Lunar Space Operations is the U.S. Navy Army version of that facility. They come on play much later. But as per the agreement, the Germans agreed to give the Draco 225 females and a 25 refusal rights for the new territory.
I'm sorry, did you just say they traded quote-unquote females?
So 225 females and a 25 refusal rights for the new territory.
How did those women feel about being traded to Draco aliens? What?
Limiting what technologies the Germans were allowed to have access to. So this treaty...
They believe technology came from aliens, wouldn't that count? No, because that's not a racist disbelief. That's just a disbelief of historical achievements, but it's not necessarily a racist disbelief of historical achievements.
I believe it was a sign.
It has to be like people who think the pyramids couldn't have been built by the Egyptians because they're racist and think that in Egypt they couldn't have done that.
In 41 and ends August 21st of 2021. So at this point, the Draco were in control over humanity's development. They're the ones who decided whether or not humanity could have free energy, anti-gravity, and so on. And so instead of humanity in general having it, the Germans could have it. So
why? What? And you don't mean real Germany, you mean fake Antarctic Germany.
So they were allowed to have it in exchange.
Just the Nazis.
For Germans and helping abduct humans and giving it over to the Draco. So they would freeze these women, the Draco that is, and bring them out of stasis to mutilate, traumatize, or kill them.
Why?
And for whatever
It's like are they like the Hostel, like, have anyone seen the movie Hostel, where like rich people have a secret club where they torture people? Are these like the alien versions of the rich assholes from Hostel? Or are all aliens freaks? Or are these like reptilian billionaires? Like, is this the Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk of reptilians? Or are all of them psycho?
experiments they were testing on. The ones who survived would have their memories erased due to memory alteration technology, and this began a very
Why?
dark, slippery slope of trading, basically human trafficking on planet Earth.
Not basically. What you described is that. If it were real, it's not, but it's that. Sorry. Finikagami says, one of the things that I don't understand about the whole government has all this awesome world-changing technology thing is a lot of these people are the we must resist government oppression types. Don't they realize that if the government that powerful with a government that powerful, resistance is pointless? It's part of why the secrecy makes no sense. They don't need secrecy. And Forrest Espion says, going back to aliens, the real question is, if the government informed Trump about aliens, would Trump fuck an alien? Hannah, which of these classic alien races would Trump fuck and why? I am so glad that that image didn't appear, whatever it was.
Even though it's been going on for much, much longer than this was
I don't know. I don't want to think of Trump as a sexual creature ever.
basically where the treaty began, allowing, where governments agreed to allow humans to be abducted off-world.
What is this, a warlord crown? That's a long story. Basically, I cover conspiracy theories and cult-like groups, or actual cults from time to time. And one of the conspiracy theorists... Sorry, I have crown head. Crown hair. One of the conspiracy theorists is in a cult where they wear bullet crowns at church. They wear crowns made of bullets, and they take their, like, rifles into church as a holy object. Anyway, I talked to a guy, and we made a bet that basically said, hey, if Trump isn't magically put back into office, thanks to your alien friends, in a certain amount of time, you need to get me one of those sweet cult bullet crowns. And he agreed, but I never got one, so it became a meme. So a fan made this as a, as a replacement for what is rightfully mine. Let me actually check real quick. How's Peter doing? I've been messaging him a little bit. Let me check to see if he's messaged back. Yes, he has. What does he have to say? Ooh. He says, I'm launching my business today. Oh boy. Is he gonna try and give people quote-unquote medicine? Or is he just dealing pot? That's fine. If he wants to deal pot, that's fine. I don't care. Please don't pretend to be a doctor, though, Peter, because you're not. Let's see what he posted. Oh no. You can now buy the medicine diet at insert website here. This is by far the healthiest diet course online, and it guarantees results in 90 days or your money back. If you have any food reactions or health problems, this is the best health product you can buy for your health, hands down. Oh god. Oh no. Okay, alright, let's do this. Surprise Peter segment. Yeah, this is probably not in compliance with FDA stuff. I'm gonna guess that this is directly violating FDA stuff by calling it medicine. Oh my god, let's read. The medicine diet. Finally, a diet that applies the latest science. With a 90-day, 100% money-back guarantee, you have incredible health improvements to gain and nothing to lose. The best diet in the world guaranteed, or your money back. Oh my god. He's charging $369.99. Oh boy. Oh boy. Hold on. Oh, it's okay, guys, though. You can do it in 3 easy payments of $123.33. Oh, no.
Hi.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Oh, no. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's happening again. It's happening again. He's got a channel. Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Okay. Have the right headgear, at least. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Peter Hanna,
Hi, Peter. How you doing?
and I'm the creator of the medicine diet.
I don't think you can legally call it that. I just want to point that out. I'm not sure. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think you can legally call it that.
The medicine diet was designed to be the healthiest diet in the world.
What qualifications do you think you have in order to determine that, Peter? You didn't go to school for anything like this.
That's why I'm so excited for you to experience the remarkable benefits of the medicine diet. And I'm so confident that you will experience amazing health benefits that I'm giving everyone a 90-day money-back guarantee,
Oh no.
which gives
On the bright side, I'm hoping no one buys this. Please no one give Peter money for this.
people ample enough time to transition onto the diet and stay on the diet so that they can truly experience all the wonderful benefits of the medicine diet. Here's the secret behind the medicine
If I was rich, I'd buy it for content.
diet.
But I'm not. So, that's a shame.
It's
Someday. I have a feeling that he's going to end up dropping the price after no one buys it, or very few people buy it, so we'll see.
rooted in rigorous science.
Probably stole it from this guy. I mean, not necessarily. A guide to the medicine diet. I think multiple people probably call their thing that. Multiple people can have the same bad name. H. Baird says, as someone with multiple degrees in crippling imposter syndrome, I'm weirdly intrigued with people who can be so confident with such nonsense. Oh, same. And I'm not even like, I didn't have a college degree, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little insecure about it sometimes, but, I think I have a decent enough grasp on my intelligence. If anything, I doubt myself. And I can certainly accept when I say something wrong. Chat corrects me all the time, and I'm more than happy to admit it and correct the information that I've said. What's up? Take your meds. Anyway, it's weird to me watching people be so overconfident with not the experience warranting. Oh, someone has a... It wasn't those meds. No. Holy shit, guys. Holy shit. Ever since I've been... This is not any kind of medical advice. I'm not telling you or advising you to do anything. I am not a doctor. Speak to your doctor about this if it's something that interests you. I disclaim any and all responsibility for the actions you take after this. This is not something I'm telling you to do or something I am telling you that is good for you or anything. I'm talking about my own experience and things I talked about with my doctor. Okay. Glad we got that out of the way. Ever since I started taking my estrogen sublingually, which is basically holding it under your tongue for like 20-30 minutes, while it dissolves instead of just swallowing it, oh my god, the results have been so much better. It's been amazing. I literally had... This is gonna get a little weird to bring up, but I had a really weird experience the other day that made me uncomfortable, but I wanted to talk about it on stream in case... I know I have other trans women or trans femmes in my audience. An experience I had that is new to me, that probably will happen to you at some point, and I wish I had been more emotionally prepared for it. So, like I said, my medication has been going really well without getting too TMI. The bodily feminization, growth of certain areas of my body, redistribution of adipose has been going really well. So I'm looking more stereotypically feminine, if that makes sense, in my body shape, which I like. I think that's great. That's something wonderful, and it makes me feel comfortable in my body, and it's been wonderful. But the other day, I was out at the store, and this was stupid of me. I knew, I wasn't wearing a bra, because I was just at the store down the street, which is like 5 minutes away, and I was just grabbing a few things. I wasn't wearing a bra. I am wearing them from now on outside. Anyway, I kept noticing out of the corner of my eye, like, dudes staring at me in a way. A lot of trans people have that feeling of, like, I'm afraid that I'm being stared at and judged for being trans. This was not that feeling. These were separate guys, had nothing to do with each other, different age groups. They were staring at me. They didn't know I was seeing them because they were in my periphery, but they were, like, staring at me in a way I have just never been stared at in public before. It's like they were evaluating me. It was very weird and made me very uncomfortable, and I didn't like it. Like, of course I'm not ignorant. I know that kind of thing happens. I know that. I know that happens all the time. It's just not something that had ever actively happened to me. And it made me feel uncomfortable. So, you know, just be aware that kind of thing might happen. So, I'm okay, by the way, obviously. Not something I'd experienced.
We carefully analyzed ingredients based on inflammatory damage, medical potency, nutrient variety, and nutrient density to decode which ingredients truly are nutritious and which are simply not up to mark. And the catch? Well, most
This is new, yes.
ingredients do not pass our stringent safety standards, but
You have no basis for any of this, Peter. What do you know about chemistry or diet? Like, you don't know anything. You don't have a degree in exercise science. You don't have a degree in anything about medical anything. How are you thinking you're going to get away with this?
the ones that do form a wholesome sanctuary of health-promoting options. It's not just a diet. It's a transformative approach that encourages balance, mindfulness, and a deep awareness of what you're putting into your body. We're not just suggesting a diet. We're inviting you to make enlightened decisions about your meals. The medicine diet was meticulously crafted with a significant goal in mind: to support your body's natural healing processes. It's designed to create an environment within your body that allows you to heal as fast as possible.
He's got kind of a plastic thing going on.
This is not a one-size-fits-all claim, as individual results may vary depending on where your health is at currently.
I gotta send something to Baja.
How long it takes to transition to the medicine diet, what level you achieve on the medicine diet,
Riotous Bunny Queen thinks for 24 months. Ooh, second anniversary. Heck yeah.
and how long you stay there.
I know, I miss his Trump stuff.
That being said, the type of health benefits that you would expect to experience from being on an ultra-healthy diet are the ones you're likely to experience on the medicine diet. I'm talking about an alleviation of physical aches and pains, reduction of harmful inflammation.
Peter, you are making medical claims right now. You are making medical claims that have not been evaluated by the FDA. This is illegal, Peter, I'm pretty sure. Gnome Pickle says, on one hand, I'm eating half a pie for lunch and washing it down with ginger beer, so maybe I don't have room to talk, but on the other, I'm very sure Peter only eats pot, so I think I can safely disregard this entire diet.
Absence of harmful food reactions and symptoms improves.
Did you just imply that your diet, no one will be allergic to the food? Because that's not true either.
Sleep, improved mood, improved hormone levels, and even improved cognition.
Oh god, he's making so many specific claims. Like, there are so many ways that alt health, like, grifters get around regulations, and he's just, like, not doing any of them. He's like, no, I call this the medicine diet.
Goes on and on and on. Your body just performs better when it's healthier. And so that's why I'm so excited for you guys to take the first step, enroll in the class, so you can discover what the medicine and diet can do for you and how fast your body can heal. So join the revolution, and I'll see you there.
Oh boy. That's so bad. I am excited for more videos, unfortunately. Sorry, Peter. Core curriculum, introducing the medicine diet. Welcome. Oh my god, there's videos. There's fucking videos. But of course I can't unless I buy. And even if I bought it, I can't show it to you probably, because it's a service that I'd be paying for. Oh my god, look at all the videos. Look at all the videos. Look at all the videos. This is just specifically a grift aimed at me. Peter actually wised up at some point, and he's like, this Hannah Reloaded lady, god damn, if I tantalize her with a bunch of hidden videos, she'll give me $300-something in order to make fun of me. And then you click on them, and it's all just Rick rolls. Anyway, enough of Peter.
And a treaty. So, courtesy of Tony Rodriguez, thank you, Tony, for sharing this drawing here of Ceres colony. But by 52, Germans had lost about 1,000 of their people building out the moon base due to harsh environment and the difficult conditions. So in the early 50s, the Germans were also building out other bases like New Berlin and New Warburg, and of course the Ceres, as well as Ceres colony and on Titan. They needed more personnel, and that's where, okay, we'll get into the 20-year return career programs come up in just a bit. So,
one second. I gotta send something to Baha on Twitter real quick. Sorry. Give me 1 second. Twitter is a nightmare. Oh, by the way, I said something negative about Zack Snyder the other day. Holy shit, people weren't kidding about his fans. God damn, they freaked out. I have been inundated with an insane amount of Snyder fan apologia. It's been so bad. There we go.
I can't necessarily confirm this because I don't remember what Mars was like in 1450 or whatever, but this information was sourced from ACIO, so depending on whether you consider that a valid source or not, I'm going to go ahead and share it. But according to ACIO, Mars was colonized.
Whether or not you consider that a valid source.
In 1450s from cyber-life cyborgs from our future. In the 1950s, Germans time traveled to Paradise Mars 1863 and set up colonies and began enslaving the local cyborg populations.
These goddamn Nazis sound like shitbags.
And then the cyborgs wanted to have their own rights similar to humans, but they were treated as a sub-race. So the cyborgs decided to destroy everything they didn't like, including the Germans. And at that point, the
based cyborgs.
The Germans the cyborgs responded with the cobalt bomb, which destroyed the environment.
Forrest Espion said, Hannah, before we leave Peter, which of these aliens would Peter fall in love with? Meaning, if the alien is nice enough for Peter, which one would he go for? I sent the alien pictures to the Discord. Oh god, let's see. Which chat is it in? Oh, wait, no, in person. Okay. Let me open this and, open link. I think Peter's gonna go with, the Pleiadians. I think they're labeled as Pleiadiano. It's just a vibe, though.
Environment in 1900, and at that point, for about 50 years, Mars was an absolute ecological disaster. But there is an alternate route. The cobalt bomb also opened up portals, allowing you to go to alternate tropical paradise Mars.
Alternate tropical paradise Mars. You can tell that they had to take a bunch of people's different, like, delusions and slam them together, and that's why there's so much multiverse stuff, because they have to explain all these different things happening simultaneously.
From 1900 to 1950, the environment on Mars began to slowly mend itself, but was still an extremely harsh climate. The air was very breathable, similar to a warm day at 8,000 to 9,000 feet, with thriving, well, I wouldn't necessarily say thriving, but there were some ecosystems there. That right there is a picture from NASA. I believe they are color grading this to look more black. If you actually were to look at some of the high resolution images and zoom in, there's some areas that look really green. So I think there are some areas on Mars. Apparently there is some areas where the air is, it feels like a cool, brisk day, but at night you can't survive, so.
No, you'll die on Mars no matter what. You can't breathe the atmosphere.
Anyway.
I don't know what the average temperatures are, but I'm imagining they swing incredibly. I think they have a thinner atmosphere, so I'm going to assume the temperatures go way high and way low.
NASA is lying about the Martian atmosphere, which they claim...
Actually, it might just be cold, because without an atmosphere, they would never be able to trap heat effectively, or without a thick atmosphere. Let me see. Mars temp. As high as 70 degrees Fahrenheit to as low as 225 Fahrenheit. Okay. So hypothetically, when it's 70 degrees, it might be nice other than the radiation and the unbreathable atmosphere.
96% CO2, trace amounts of O2. And but actually the sky is a very light blue tint, and most of the pictures are being photoshopped to be more red, so yeah.
I think you're thinking of the ending of Total Recall.
All right, and for soldiers on Mars, they would wear patrol suits or biosuits that had pellets that would spit out, that would convert CO2 to O2, and they spit these carbon pellets out the back of their suit. Okay, some more life forms here. This is courtesy of Tony Rodriguez, some of the Antis species, but there's reptoids, a race, there's the Matra on Mars, and there's also a group of native Martianers that have more of an olive skin complexion, and they follow like a Hindu-type belief system.
What does that even mean? Hindu-like. That's as far as we're going into it.
But those humans, Martian humans rather, are very shy and nothing to do with the Germans who were settling. So at this point, in post-war Mars, the Germans began to fight with, have territorial disputes to gain their own territory with these spider-like life forms.
Just like the goddamn Germans, they go to Mars and the first thing they look for is Lebensraum.
As well as the mantis. And there were also giant grasshoppers in the equatorial region, as reported by Andrew Bisaggio. The cobalt bomb left an open wormhole to the year 1550 on
What? That's the 1550 wormhole. A bomb made it.
Paradise Mars that was causing people who lived underground and at the time to lose their memories. By 1950, Mars was safe enough to be inhabited again, provided all living structures were built underground. Initially, settlements were built in the equatorial regions of Mars, but moved to a more northerly and southerly latitude in ancient lava tube systems. HQ of the MCC is Ares Prima. Equatorial Mars was often plagued with huge electrical storms that would wreak havoc on electronics. And that was, I guess, for the early settlers,
He's being serious. He's being serious.
Had to deal with that.
Unfortunately. He's a conspiracy theorist, and this is how he thinks the world works. He thinks he was in a secret super soldier program with aliens and stuff.
So
this is the history of it that he's talking about, or I should say history, air quotes.
That's why they
Has he cited a single source? Yeah, he said that people channeled this information.
moved to the more
So they thought of it in their imagination.
northern latitudes, even though it's colder. It's just a more stable environment. During this time, the Nazis lost 17,000 troops of the fittest and strongest stock off-road. Again, this was drawn from the 30,000 Antarctic Germans. So now 17, that's roughly 5% of the population. So they needed more recruits. So what better way to get more recruits is maybe pressure the Americans to, they were already exchanging technology, but why not exchange slaves? So at this point, the Germans began to put pressure on the Truman administration with a flyby in July 52. This is one of the more famous UFO sightings right over Washington, D.C. So these were alleged to be German spacecraft.
Who alleged that?
And at that point, the cabal knew they had to set up a treaty. And this took place with... despite the treaty, the cabal was uniting against a common enemy. And again, remember I told you earlier, the U.S. was giving away nuclear secrets to the USSR. And that's when...
Okay, I assume you mean USSR. No, we were in the Cold War. So no!
In 1949, the Soviets tested their first nuclear bomb. This was done to intimidate the Nazis and show a unified front against them.
No, this was literally done as part of the Cold War.
The USA and USSR were always secret allies, but they...
Oh my god, literally the opposite. Post-World War II, the global economic balance of power in the 20th century was entirely defined between the conflict ideologically and politically and economically between the United States and the USSR. The idea that all of that is untrue is so indefensible, it's kind of impressive that he's not even defending it. It's like he knows he can. He's just like, well, this is what I believe. Based on what?
They told the public otherwise. The Nazis showed their power when they too detonated a nuclear bomb on American headquarters.
Having elaborate delusions. That's actually tough to say. I definitely have people on my conspiracy shows where I do this often. I look at different conspiracy theorists and stuff. There are those that I don't cover specifically because it seems like they're having severe disconnects from reality in the mental illness way, like they have schizophrenia or some sort of schizoaffective disorder, something that's causing them to have delusions. There can be gray areas. I personally don't know what's going on with him, but he's very functional. Like, he is at a hotel giving a talk on this. So kind of regardless of why he believes this, he is actively spreading it to other people. He is actively getting other people involved in this conspiracy. So, as far as I'm concerned, that makes it okay to talk about so that there's a counterpoint to this nonsense. Personally, I haven't seen stuff that makes me think he actually has, like, schizophrenia or anything. But again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't have the power to diagnose anyone, and even if I was any of those things, I've never met or talked to the guy. So regardless, I would have nothing to say about it in that, way, but he made a PowerPoint. I mean, people with schizophrenia can make PowerPoints. Look at, forget his name, the guy who made the Temple OS. That guy was incredibly ill, dealt with schizophrenia really intensely, but he was still able to put together an operating system. It wasn't like a good operating system relative to the time, but like, that takes thought and work, even if it's, like, weird. If you haven't heard of Temple OS, by the way, feel free to look it up. It's interesting. So there's a spectrum of how functional people are with delusions, and this guy's on the very functional side, so.
Heavy cruiser on its way back from Bikini.
Let me put it this way. I don't think he is in a vulnerable position. I don't think by covering him I'm punching down. I don't want to punch down. I only want to punch at people who are actively doing harm or spreading misinformation Or if there is anyone who's just interesting, then I don't look at them from the perspective of, like, this is a person I need to criticize. It comes from a place of, why does this person believe this? How do people get into this sort of conspiracy? How do people who grift people into conspiracies take advantage of people who have schizophrenia and other delusions? Yeah, so I try and be cognizant of these things. I never want to be a channel that's, like, making fun of people for mental illness. And if I ever cross that line, feel free to tell me. I do not want to be a dick. I just want everyone to know that.
Bikini Atoll after
Yeah, he's a Nazi apologist, so fuck him. Fuck this guy.
1954 U.S. nuclear test. So this was this picture right here was a Nazi.
He's also a lost cause revisionist for the Civil War.
Detonated.
He didn't bring it up in this video, but that's from a previous video.
In 1954, but everybody's been told it was American testing. I mean, the media is not going to tell people that, by the way, Antarctic Germans are going to have nuclear bombs now, too. The EMP disabled the cruiser, and the Americans were able to get it running again.
Oh, that was a nice emote bomb. I never even promote this. Chat, did you know that if you subscribe, or rather, no, on Twitch it's subscribe. If you subscribe or gift subs to Hannah Reloaded, it'll give you access to all our cool emotes. Which I should probably revise some of the emotes because it's been a while. And also, ad-free viewing for you or whoever you gift a sub to. So if you want to help support the show, that's a great way to do it.
And limped back to Hawaii. The Germans
I don't think he's a sovereign citizen, to my knowledge, at least.
believed the Americans would cover up the event, so they...
If these Nazis had all the power, why are they in hiding? Right, doesn't make sense. Doesn't really make sense, does it?
filmed it and sent boxes of films to every leader of the free world, so there was no question that the free world, quotation marks, there was no question that the Nazis had nukes and were willing to use them. So at this point,
thanks,
the
Beth
cabal
Harp.
decided to capitulate and enter into a formalized treaty. And here's some of the blank slate technology. We're going to go into that just a bit. This has to do with
when the Germans developed memory wipe technology. Oh god, like the neuralizer.
With the 20-year part of the treaty requires would allow the Germans to abduct humans and traffic them off-world for their program. Remember I told you?
Okay, I've expressed this before. So let's say you're an alien. Trevor of House Belmont, thanks for 26 months. Appreciate it. And good for you for taking advantage of all the benefits of a subscription. I expressed this in a previous video. If I'm a cynical alien, or in this case, some sort of Antarctic Nazi remnant, and I need humans for experiments for some reason. Let's stick with aliens here, because the idea of Nazis experimenting on people, even in a sci-fi way, disgusts me for the connection to the obvious real-world atrocities that took place during the Holocaust. So aliens. If aliens are constantly coming to abduct people, wouldn't it make sense for them to just, like, keep them? Like, when humans do lab tests, we have animals that we, like, use for that. So, like, lab mice, or lab rats, for instance, have pretty specific genetic, like, profiles that they fall under. They've been, like, artificially selected to be very similar to each other, so that when testing is done on them, there are fewer variations. So you would think aliens or anyone else with sci-fi technology would also do the same thing. So they probably wouldn't abduct humans. They would probably, early on, abduct humans, then genetically do breeding or engineering if they're like magic sci-fi aliens that can do whatever, into being ideal test subjects, and then you have offspring. Like, I guess I don't understand why you think it would be efficient for them to constantly kidnap people. Gnome Pickle says, we need free-range humans for our mighty hive mother. She watched a thing on natural food and she's on a health kick, so we're forced to abduct random weirdos. They're Nazi aliens, they aren't good at using scientific method. That's fair. That's fair. Nazis were dog shit at science. They just like to torture people because they were fucking sick fucks.
17,000 people died off-world to build these colonies on Mars and on the moon. So they needed this personnel. So this is part of the memory wipe process, and the hammer device is what they would use most often, but they have other trip seat technology and so on. But, and again, that was 1954 when that came on. So in 55, the Cabal and German treaty negotiations take place in Antarctica under Operation Deep Freeze 1 and 2. First part of the treaty was a public version, and that public version basically stated that the rest of the world would be off limits to Antarctica. So no other country can go down there and claim the resources.
There are a variety of reasons for the real-life treaty. None of them are aliens or Nazis.
The second part of the treaty, basically a classified version, stated that the Germans, the Antarctic Germans...
It was more that no one wanted to fight over having military bases in Antarctica. Because, like, during the Cold War especially, we all know what happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis, I would hope. The Soviet Union placed ballistic missiles and launchers for them in Cuba, one of their allies, their closest ally that was closest geographically to the United States. So the idea was this was so close to the United States that these missiles wouldn't really easily, or at all, I'm not sure exactly, be able to be dealt with if they were launched from there. So there was the standoff where JFK and his people basically were like, you need to move this. We're doing a blockade of Cuba. You need to remove these missiles. I'm John F. Kennedy. I still have a head. That's basically what happened. So anyway, Antarctica, similar situation. If you put stuff in Antarctica and you start fighting over bases in Antarctica, then the missiles can get places real quick because they're kind of in a central location, albeit at the bottom of the globe. And no one wants to waste resources doing that or looking for oil, shit like that. So they just all decided, let's not.
would be abducting
guys, you know I can't do voices.
about roughly 55...
Why might aliens come to Earth, you ask? Is this gonna be... Oh, I thought it was gonna be the trailer for Earth Girls Are Easy.
I'm looking for human horn.
Shh. You're not cops, right?
Of course not. In fact, he's a crook.
Yep. Stolen Pez, anyone?
If you've not seen Futurama, in that episode, Fry gets abducted and his nose is taken because apparently human noses, called human horn, are considered an aphrodisiac for certain aliens. Anyway, then they try and take his penis.
5,000 people each year thereafter for 5-year tours to duties. And the Germans would be responsible for abducting the people, housing them, feeding them, clothing them, paying them, and then they would be given the option to become German citizens at the end of 5 years. If they did not want to become
It's so confusing that he's saying German. You don't mean German. Germany is a place. Germany is a real place that has real citizens. You are talking about fictional Nazis at the South Pole. They're not German. They're made up. Stop using confusing language.
Germans, then they would wipe their memories, re-age them, and time travel them back to when they were taken as if nothing happened.
What?
But from the very start, things did not turn out as planned. Most of these people were enslaved, denied payment, and instead of tours of duty...
Denied payment. That's the important part.
Of 5 years, some were forced into 20 years, or even multiple sets of 20 years, or they were never returned at all. So sometimes they would put clones or
clones on the bingo card.
Just make someone brain dead. Okay, so
why would you make them like a lobotomy? Why not just kill them then? What good is a lobotomized super soldier?
Now the Cabal and the Nazis were working together in this treaty, and they so part of the treaty basically dictated that the Germans wanted at least one Antarctic German on the governing board of all the world's largest corporations.
Oh, God.
Larger
Is he going to say specific people he thinks are secret Antarctic Nazis?
Corporations may have had up to 5 to 10 Germans on
Antarctic Nazis. I hate these guys.
Their boards. Additionally, one German must be on the executive branch of every government. This meant that the United States had multiple operatives. Their identity would also remain classified so the world would not be ganging up on them. The Cabal didn't want people to know Nazis were still in charge because they would lose their treaty, which would result in more conflicts. In return, the Germans would grant the Cabal access to theories of their theories of advanced tech.
I'm not gonna go outside in a bullet crown because I don't want to be looked at as a weird psycho who's gonna like shoot people. I live in America. You want me to go outside in this? I'm in America and I'm trans, and you want me to go outside in a bullet crown? Think about what you just said for 5 seconds. People in America get shot for pulling into the wrong driveway to turn around. You want me to go outside as a trans woman and this thing and hope that there's no one around being weird?
Not full concepts. The Cabal was satisfied with these terms. All right, so what we got going on here is...
I also don't want people to think I'm a weird Trump person, because this also has weird right-wing energy. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I'm not gonna do that. I know you were just joking, by the way. I just think the scenario is funny to think about. That's what Halloween is for. Halloween is an excuse to buy cute costumes. Chat, I saw the cutest fucking costume that I think I'm gonna get for Halloween. I don't even know if I should tell you guys or just surprise you. But it's so cute, and I'm excited. The bullet crown isn't cute? Yeah, I'm not wearing it for Halloween.
Basically, even though the United States was promoted as the leader of the free world, is actually the Antarctic Germans who were piggybacking on us and taking off.
Hydra! You've basically invented Hydra! I just realized. Like, Hydra also had a... Oh yeah, you're thinking of Hydra, the fictional organization from the Marvel universe invented to try and divorce it from Nazis. I mean, I guess there's still a Nazi rogue science division, but, you know, that's been stripped away. Hydra's like its own thing that's vaguely Nazi without having to deal with the, you know, Holocaust.
All the best technology, sending it to Antarctica and later Mars, and then eventually that had to get changed. They had to pull out the skunk works out of Antarctica and move it to Mars because the Cabal was trying to steal technology from the Germans. By the 1960s, the Cabal would continue to remain hostile towards the Germans. So Cabal MEIC corporations like RAND, TRW, Philco, Lockheed, and so on would develop their own. They had their own technological skunk works, but the Germans on board of these companies will block these technologies and transfer it to the Germans instead. So that's why we see, like, if you go back to the 1950s, as far back as the 1950s, and you pull up a Popular Mechanics magazine, and it shows this new amazing technology that comes out, this new battery that's going to change everything.
Yeah, Popular Mechanics isn't a science journal, it's a popular periodical. I hate this. I've seen other conspiracy theorists cite this. They'll bring out, like, an old issue of Popular Science or Popular Mechanics, and they'll be like, look, this was in an issue of these things. Why isn't this real? Because that was written by someone working for a magazine that covers science or engineering from a very casual perspective for the layperson. It's not a scientific journal, and they need to fill it with content. It's actually pretty fun if you look up old issues of, like, Popular Mechanics or Popular Science. There's some, like, interesting stuff in them. Yep, there was Popular Mechanics showed you how to pour engine oil into the ground, which you absolutely should not do. Don't do that. Don't do that. Not okay.
And the next thing you know, the technology just disappears and nobody ever talks about it, and that's what's happening.
Or it was never real. Or the article was misleading about the transformative effect it might have. And also, battery technology has improved vastly since, like, the early 20th century, or even the mid-20th century, or even, like, the 1980s. Like, there are tons of problems with lithium-ion batteries, but they're better than, like, the previous thing we were working with. Was it cobalt nickel batteries? I don't even know. Like Duracells from, like, the 90s, whatever the fuck those were. Like, modern batteries work so much better than old batteries. And they continue in materials science. One of the big things they're working on is things that can be used for future energy storage. Batteries and energy storage in general are a huge concern, especially with the increase in renewable energy. So for instance, with solar power, you know, there are areas where that does great because it's super sunny, but you need a lot of energy storage so that at nighttime you can have energy stored for when there isn't sun or wind or whatever might be being used.
These Antarctic Germans are taking over all this. Okay, so because the cabal was not giving full access to the advanced technology of the Germans, in 1958 they created NASA to siphon money into their own projects to compete with the Germans. And also that's when MK Ultra occurred, because the Germans had their own
MK Ultra on the bingo card?
Brainwashing, mind control experiments to erase the memories of these 20-year career retirement program participants. So the Americans needed that too. We're going to get to MK Ultra just a bit. The money siphon would help fund dumps worldwide, including in the United States as well as in the Soviet Union. And the program would also be, the money would be used to fund Solar Ward and later Radiant Guardian. As I said earlier, MK Ultra, that's a time when the Fourth Reich was busy advancing mind control, so MK Ultra is that response to what the Germans were doing to keep on top of their program. In the 1960s, the Antarctic Germans built a second base in Antarctica. Task groups were created to expand out into the solar system around Ceres, Moon, and Saturn, the Kuiper Belt, and Oort Cloud, and they even would time travel back 400 years into the past to settle planets all around the Milky Way galaxy.
Why? What?
Over 3 billion people.
That basically just means that you sent 400 people into the past on desolate planets and said okay, see your descendants in the future. You have to build a civilization so that when we get back to our present, this is already a thriving colony because hundreds of years will have passed. That's a bad idea. Are you Captain Kirk? Have you never thought about a single thing you've set into motion in space?
People now live off-world under various German SSP groups protected by Nachtwaffen, which translates into Dark Fleet. So I've been told a lot of these people are now being kicked off of these planets because of all the atrocities the German groups have done. There are other beings in the universe that are not very happy about all this, and they view humanity as an infection, almost as
well, yeah, you let all the Nazis into space. Yeah, if I'm an alien and my impression of humans is Nazis, I also wouldn't like humans. I am looking for your bits, Halloween Town. I don't see them. Hold on, let me see. It might not have shown up in my feed for some reason. Logarth says, lithium is going to be the media for a long time, but nanotech and graphene is going to make lithium-ion transfer rates higher and live longer. So it's really just getting more bang out of a lithium pack before it degrades to the point it needs to be recycled. That's good. Lithium is not great in terms of how we mine it, and we take advantage of developing economies
into the rest of the universe, and so they're being kicked back.
Hitler didn't want to fund nuclear bomb programs because he dismissed atomic physics as, quote, Jewish superstitious nonsense. It's because of Einstein. Is that because of Einstein? What a dumbass. This is what I'm saying about fascists. They blind themselves to reality. Fascism depends upon being divorced from reality. And inevitably that leads to your own destruction. It is a self-destructive ideology. Fascism is basically societal suicide. Not a good thing.
Into this solar system. But I can't necessarily confirm all that. In the meantime, so now we've got the Nazi breakaway civilization, Nachtwaffen, and here's some drawings of some of the starships. I know it looks similar to what you see out of Star Wars, but some of these vessels can be up to 20 miles long. When they need to build a new battle cruiser, for example, they will simply place an order, and a team time travels back 20 years into the past and completes the order instantly from the perspective of the buyer. So it doesn't take very long to put together these type of huge machinery. It's not like a linear timeline, what we're thinking.
But if everyone is time traveling and there's conflict, you're all going to start crossing timelines, and time is going to constantly be reset. Like, the second time travel, especially if you're talking about time travel that actually changes time, like Back to the Future time travel versus MCU time travel, or Terminator time travel, right? There's different kinds of time travel. Back to the Future time travel, there's one timeline, and the things you do in the past change the timeline in the future. Terminator 1 timeline is a time loop. You can't change history. If you go to the past, you were always in the past during that period. There's nothing you can do to change anything. And then there's alternate history. This is like MCU-style time travel, where you can go in the past and do things, but all you're doing is creating separate universes. Your original timeline is not affected. So in this case, I think they're describing more Back to the Future-style time travel, right? Did he mention things changing in history, or is he doing Terminator 1 time loop style? Or has he even thought about this?
From humanity's perspective here on Earth.
Maybe it's Doctor Who rules, so whatever's best for this particular narrative in the moment.
Knockoff.
What kind of time travel do I like better? I don't think it's like better as much as it's different stories. This is a perfect time. Guys, finally, the shelf is paying off. This entire top row are my time travel movies. So here's some different examples of time travel movies. Yeah, we're gonna do this now. You opened the floodgates. I'm not even gonna apologize. This is your fault. Okay. I'm gonna pull out some different examples so we can talk about this. Okay, where's my oh, I have Back to the Future as well. Cool. Bingo is for real. And no one has won yet. So. By the way, chat, did you know I have a Blu-ray wish list? If you want to go to my Amazon wish list and get me any DVD. To be clear, is Contact in that pile? That's not really a time travel movie. The 18 hours or whatever, that doesn't count. I do have Contact, though. Anyway, what I was going to say about the wish list is, if you look at it and see, like, oh my god, why is there so much expensive shit on here? Hannah's a selfish bitch. That's my personal wish list, so the high like, expensive items are things I get for myself over time or want to in the future. I don't expect anyone to spend a bunch of money on me, but if you sort by lowest price, I have some stuff that's like $6, $5, $10 if you wanted to send something fun. I know people have in the past, and that's always cool. Alright, let's talk about time travel movies and the way that they work and the ones that I like. Okay, Back to the Future, probably my favorite time travel series. Not individual movie, but as a series, solid. This operates under the time changes rules, so Marty McFly goes back into the past, and then when he goes back to the future... I said the thing. The changes that he has made slowly take effect. It's actually interesting in that time in the Back to the Future universe seems to have a speed, right? So when you make changes in the past, they don't happen immediately. It takes a little bit of time. So you could make changes in the past, and then slowly things will fade into the new reality. I always took this as, they're vague about what the flux capacitor is. Obviously, it's a MacGuffin. You don't really need to know what it does because it's a sci-fi device. It doesn't do anything. But if I had to say what the flux capacitor was in my own headcanon, it's literally a capacitor. Whatever energy exists in time, whenever you make changes to the past, or when you either do some sort of paradox or get close to causing a paradox, I don't think the flux capacitor actually causes you to travel through time. Because remember, Doc doesn't say, this is the flux capacitor. This is what travels you through time. He says this is what makes time travel possible, which is different. And I think what it does is it basically absorbs energy from paradoxes and time changes. Like, that's what makes it so the whole universe doesn't explode, basically. Like, that's how I think about it. It handles meeting out changes to the timeline in a way that will not break things. Anyway, okay, Primer. I should probably do 80s first. If I wanted to go in chronological order. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. This is also Back to the Future rules. Changes you make in the past affect the future. Good stuff. Also the first official time machine in fiction. So thanks H.G. Wells for that. What's next? Spoilers for movies that are 50 years old. The Planet of the Apes 9 film collection. This is actually interesting in that as the series goes through, not just the original, there are multiple time travel. The whole thing is a time travel story. So, in the first... Oh yeah, there's 9. They're fucking great, too. Okay, so... In the first movie, Taylor travels to the future, to the Planet of the Apes. Which is Earth. Spoilers. Planet of the Apes is Earth, but it's in the future, and apes have become the dominant species. Well, apes other than us. Chimpanzees, gorillas, stuff like that. After that, in the second movie, the Earth gets destroyed, like days after that. In the third movie, 2 of the apes, Cornelius and Zira, go back in time, escaping the Planet of the Apes in the film appropriately titled Escape from the Planet of the Apes. They travel back into the 1970s or 80s. I don't remember exactly when that takes place. I don't think it takes place when the movie was actually made. I think it took place in the near future, basically, for the time. So maybe the 80s or 90s. Anyway, they actually go back in time and change things, but also kind of set off a time loop, but it's a time loop that is different. Like, it's a loop in the sense that the same general things happen. There's still an ape that comes to power, their kid, named Caesar. But based on what we know about Caesar and what happened in the original timeline, it seems like this is a slightly different version of the timeline. Okay, that's Planet of the Apes. So it's like a time loop, but it's a time loop that's different. General things happen that are the same, but with variation. Terminator, like I said, the first movie runs on time loop rules. The second movie, you can change things. The rest of the movies, who fucking cares? Somewhere in Time. Time Loop. Time Loop movie. Great time loop movie. Also one of the best time travel romantic comedies, which is a whole genre in and of itself. Butterfly Effect. You can change things, which people don't remember because it's been changed all along, except for the one scene where people do notice with the stigmata, but, you know, that's far from a perfect movie. Bill and Ted, you can change things. In fact, you can not only change things, you can think to yourself, and this is some of my favorite time travel gags of all time, you can think to yourself, I'm going to do something in the future and bring it back into the past, I'm going to set it right here, and the thing will be there, because you're going to do it in the future, as long as you do it, and if the thing's there, you obviously do it. So it's, you can change the past, and you can make things happen in the present, assuming you use the time machine to do it in the future. Interstellar, time loop. And Primer, one of the best time travel movies of all time, also probably the driest. I wouldn't call it, like, the most entertaining movie ever, but it handles time travel in a very interesting way. Also kind of a loop, but not really. You can change things, but it exists within a loop. Anyway, none of these are necessarily better than the others. The dynamics of the stories have to do with which works. So in Back to the Future, the entire story of the first film, which it wasn't conceived as a trilogy, it was conceived as one movie, and then they added on sequels, which is why he doesn't care about the chicken thing until the second movie, but I've decided that that's something that changed when he changed the past. Anyway, God, I am just ranting about this. I must sound like a loon. Okay, Anyway, the first movie is about family and about how families become the way they are. Your parents used to be kids, their formative experiences. If they had been different, how would they be different parents? So it makes sense for that to have a you can change history thing, because that's in service of the story. It's also the ticking clock element, because Marty almost gets not created. Interstellar, fundamentally, the themes are about the interconnectivity between all of us, and how, at the end of the day, as much as we love science, the special thing about humans is that we care about each other, and caring about each other is what brings us through. So it makes sense that it's a time loop, especially if you've seen the movie. It makes sense. This info dump rules. Primer. Primer, really, the whole premise of Primer, I'm trying to say without spoiling. It seems to me that the premise of Primer was someone saying, how do we write a time travel story that has as few plot holes as possible, but in fact having fewer plot holes makes it way more confusing, because the dynamics of time travel would be incredibly confusing if they existed. So that's the entire time travel dynamic is confusing intentionally because it's supposed to be realistic. And it's an interesting movie, but you gotta watch it a few times. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. It's actually interesting. It seems like you can't really change the past, but you can change the present and future with intention. That makes sense, because you don't want these guys fucking history up, and also, it's funny. It's a comedy. Butterfly Effect, the entire premise of the movie and its themes are about how small things shape our lives. So things changing needs to happen somewhere in time. It's a time loop. I don't want to get too specific about the movie, but the movie does have an air of inevitability, especially in its conclusion. There's a time loop going on, and it's like everything that happens was always going to happen and always did. It's like you were destined to be together in some way. Bootstrap paradox. Terminator, it's all over the place. Terminator, the first one, it's a time loop because that's interesting. Second one, they wanted to make another movie and save the world, so that's fine. Planet of the Apes. It's about nuclear annihilation, and then the follow-ups are because people like monkeys. Alright, that's it. I have other ones, but I'm not going to talk about all of them, so that's good. Do I know about Continuum? It's an RPG all about time travel. I am not familiar. Oh, and also down here I have all my Doctor Who. This entire bottom shelf here is all my Doctor Who. But Doctor Who just changes its rules depending on the story. Oh, my Donnie Darko's downstairs. It probably should be up here. It should be up here. Donnie Darko's downstairs.
Often considers themselves more German than Nazi. Ranks include Fifth Reich Germans, and again, those are the Germans. The Fifth Reich is the SSP Germans, consisting mostly...
What did I think of Tenet? I haven't seen it.
...of the aristocracy of Teutonic Knights and the Thule Society.
Did you say Cthulhu Society?
Class are infected with, well, some of the officer class, and there is a split. Roughly 1/3 eventually do break off. It hasn't happened yet, but it's due to happen soon.
When? What?
I think at 23 to 24. And so the split is between the officer.
I do have time bandits, yes.
Class that wants to get the black goo and who doesn't, and they break off into what is known as the Alliance. So there is a fragment of Alliance today, but it's not what it is. What it's about to be once that split takes place. So Yozuru no Kaishu is the Japanese SSP component of the Axis powers that want access to these programs. So this particular group is very...
Nah, I've not watched The Peripheral. It's getting canceled though, so I'm not even going to start it at this point.
Interested in...
What about Looper? Oh, I do have Looper. Looper's weird. Looper's rules are inconsistent. Like, I understand that time travel stories are never going to be, like, full of plot holes. It's time travel, you know? I get it. But, like, Looper changes its rules and ill-defines them. Rules don't have to be perfect, but you shouldn't just make them up as you go, and it feels like in Looper all sorts of different things are going on. Like, the scene in Looper where the young guy gets captured and his older counterpart is getting, like, fingers and limbs cut off. Like, okay, so things change, but they change in the moment it happens, but it doesn't affect any of the things up to that point. That doesn't make sense. So all of a sudden, the younger guy who's been kidnapped by the mob, he gets, like, a foot or a leg cut off. And all of a sudden, the older version has his leg cut off. But it's not like he always did. It's not like he's somewhere else because now his entire history has been changed because all of his previous experience was with a leg, so obviously things in their past must have changed, but it's like it didn't. It's like they're in some sort of temporal state of grace, where they get the leg cut off, but still it's as if they're the same person that lived their life with the leg. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
And robotics, as you know, the Japanese have the most advanced robotics program. But, so what they do is they trade...
Is that still true? Like, I'm sure that historically, I know, like, the robots that have existed in Japan through, like, the early 2000s, the early, like, is it Honda or Hyundai had that robot? But now with Boston Dynamics, I don't know if that's true. But I also don't see things out of Japan, so I can't say.
With knockoff and advanced robotics technology for spaceship designs and
oh my god, the Invader Zim rubber pig episode fucked me up as a kid.
So on, so that...
I don't know why, it just fucked me up a lot. Like, does anyone have, like, shows as a kid that they watched that gave them existential crises as children? That Invader Zim pig episode really, like, fucked me up.
That's how those two groups work together. Hong Wong is the Chinese version of the secret space program. Red Dragon.
Wait, they have a separate space program? Of course it's called Red Dragon, because they're Chinese, and you've decided, like, they're Chinese, so their space program is called Red Dragon.
Another name. And then we've got the Raising Red Star.
The Organ episode is also disgusting. I can't believe that was put on air for children. The Organ episode is so sick, and I love it.
This is a Cabal program, similar to the Americans in the Solar War and the Rising Red Star, were a bunch of vessels that were pretty much derelict by the time.
The time travel rules in Looper work in a way that works for the story, but, like, they're not consistent. Again, I like the movie, I own it. It's not like I don't like the movie. It's actually one of the good Bruce Willis movies from, you know, more recently. That and Surrogates are the last two Bruce Willis movies I really enjoyed. And again, I'm not criticizing him for, like, his later stuff. I understand that he was diagnosed with his dementia and he ended up taking a lot of projects so his family could have money. I understand that. So no judgment on any of the bad movies he did in the last, like, 10 years. I get it. He was trying to provide for his family and he was dealing with a personal tragedy. Totally understand. But just in terms of movies I really like Looper. I think it's fun. I just have a hard time getting my head around the rules and how they work and what affects what.
The Union collapsed. Evidently, communism didn't treat their SSP group as very well either. But there are still Soviet colonies off-world, by the way, that are still Soviet. And
insert Tim Curry clip here.
Yeah, they're...
I want to go to the space commune. Chat. Okay, here's what's going to happen. We need someone to do a con on Elon Musk. No, I don't trust his rockets. We need to find a rocket ship that we trust. Or some sort of spaceship. And we will take it to the Red Planet. Where, of course, the commune is. And then we'll have a space commune.
Most of their vessels were reclaimed by
NASA. Let's go with NASADA.
The ICC or Merchant Marine Fleet. Roughly by around the year 2000, their ships were pretty much junk at that point. So
jump gates, like Stargates? Why do you have spaceships and Stargates? That doesn't make sense.
So here's a jump gate.
Have I seen The History of Time Travel? Yeah, I really like that movie, actually. That's a fun take on the fluidity of time travel. And how the instant it comes into existence, it becomes sort of a temporal arms race. That is a fun movie.
Allegedly under this building.
I think I set my wish list, by the way. This is just a random thought. I was talking about my wish list earlier. I think I set it now, so if anyone has a movie that they want to show me and send a DVD of, I think you can find stuff on Amazon yourself now and send it to me without it being on my wish list. So have fun with that if anyone wants to send me random shit from Amazon.
There, 999. Okay. Well, oh yeah, there it is. Pacific Highway next to LAX. So yeah, which is Los Angeles Airport. So that jump room.
Of course, we'll bring chair.
Was
Hydrate.
connected to another facility in New Jersey, and I wouldn't be surprised if CIA Langley and jump rooms on Moon and Mars. There's also a Hilton Hotel next to this picture.
I think that's it. I'm not exactly... Actually, let me look. I'm not sure how it works when you're trying to give me something that's not on the wish list. Let me check. I'll follow it and see what happens. Let's say I open it in a not incognito window. I guess I don't know. How do you send things to someone? I don't know. I know I set it so it can happen. So however that works. Sorry.
This building, the Hilton Hotels, I may have a slide on this for later on, but the Hilton Hotels also have jump rooms and portals, which allow the elite
You think Hilton Hotels all have stargates?
To travel and do their ritual.
There was a version of this in the Star Trek universe, too. They're called something gates. Whatever they are.
So they can quickly go from jump room from Mars to go to the Hilton
It's from like an extinct species
Hotel. And go
Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
all around the world.
It was in Next Gen.
And so by the 1960s, the Germans obtained jump gate technologies.
Iconian gates, thank you.
Allowing them to instantly teleport between worlds. And by the way, they also have this same technology on their ships, where the officer class can travel from a ship back to Mars or so on, anywhere in the universe instantly. But the technology is, like I said, restricted only for the elite and German class officers.
German class.
It looks like an elevator. When you walk in, the walls curve around you, and then 10 minutes later, you are at your new destination. So let's go into the 1960s. Now, remember earlier on I mentioned about the original treaty with the Antarctic Germans required 5-year career return programs, and then they will be given citizenship and money and payment. So by the 60s, the first 5-year loaner program was now coming to an end. And these participants...
How long can this guy keep this bullshit up? We're about halfway. I know it doesn't look like it, but that's because I shifted this over. We're about halfway. Once we do hit the halfway point, that's what I'm going to call it, and that'll be part 1. We're going to do part 2, either tomorrow or another day later in the week. Gnome Pickles says, it's okay, a great hero has shown us how to take away those German spacecraft.
Play it work! They'll follow me for sure!
Oh, fuck yeah, Flash.
Good! Stop!
Red Werewolf with 26 months, thank you.
By my Hawkman!
Flash! Whoa! He save every one of us.
Supposed to be re-aged and time travel back to when they were taken. However, the Germans kept 90% of the people that they acquired. So I guess
it's almost like you can't trust Nazis. It's weird how blasé he is about this being Nazis. Like, if I was delusional and thought that there was, like, a literal World War II era Nazi, like, base in Antarctica, I'd be like, this is a pressing issue. Right? Or at least weird. Like, I'd be like, we should be doing something, not, like, just, like, casually talking about it. Like, I'm worried enough about, like, neo-Nazis and crypto-fascists, much less somehow still extant Nazi officers from World War II? Bakehop says, serious question, do you think there are any people in this guy's audience that have bought into all this and get weirded out by all the Nazi talk? I don't know. He goes into it pretty quick. Usually there's a longer acclimation period for this kind of conspiracy before they get into the anti-Semitism. But I also feel like if you're at this conference, you might already be interested in this kind of shit. So it's hard to say. I don't know. I don't know the makeup of his audience. Ash, thank you for 9 months. This sub-baby's going to be named Spriggan McTwigbutt. 58% to level 1 in a hype train.
A way to enforce them to return these people. hence the scientists' brain drains of the 70s and their falsified death reports. By the 70s, the cabal discovered the Germans had memory wipe technology. Again, the Germans got that in '54. So now the Americans wanted to get a hold of this stuff. So, and that's why they had 100% informational secrecy on these projects. The cabal coveted this technology and eventually got their hands on it in '79, thanks to a joint KGB-CIA operation in which they got one of the Antarctic Germans to switch. They sing like a bird. And at that point, they acquired the tech and made it look like they accidentally discovered it. And that goes with, so the Germans are not happy because the treaty basically states the Germans are in charge of theory, but they're not supposed to give them technology, and so the cabal basically outright stole from them. So the retaliation was to destroy the Challenger space shuttle and the cooling towers at Chernobyl.
Oh, fuck.
At that point, the Germans removed all manufacturing RD off the planet and to Mars and later other off-world.
Talk about outsourcing.
From there, the Germans were very worried cowboy president would retaliate with nukes, so they sent a brown paper package to Reagan and Gorbachev with an old '79 non-operational memory wipe device, which by the late '80s, the cabal was able to reverse engineer and incorporate into their black projects. In 1972,
he's referencing Ronald Reagan when he says cowboy president, because Ronald Reagan was in many westerns, and my personal favorite, bum bum bum, where is it? It's somewhere on my shelf. Where's it on my shelf? It's funny, gotta find the thing. Where's my bedtime for Bonzo? There it is. My classic films are up in the top shelf there. And by I don't mean classic as in just old and good, I mean any film that's like prior to 70s. You know that cutoff in like the 60s, 70s between older style films and more modern style films, influenced by like French New Wave or New Wave in general, when like Spielberg and some others came around, even prior to that. Anyway, Bedtime for Bonzo. It's a movie where Ronald Reagan has to deal with a chimpanzee. This man was the president, and he helped destroy our country and labor in the world in general, and he's in this movie with a fucking chimp. Human history is really weird, huh? Had he met the throat goat at this point? Anyway. Minute left on the hype train, 58% to level 1.
25-year Draco first refusal rights had come to an end. This meant the Germans could now keep the technologies they required. By the 1970s, the Germans got their populations up in the outlying colonies to self-sustainable levels.
45
they also
seconds.
began to master time travel technology. Time is circular, it is not linear.
Well, I never even understand what people mean by that. I've heard the time is a flat circle thing. I don't get it. Again, I've also, I know that that one actor said it in True Detective. Probably a good monologue. I don't get it, though. 20 seconds! We won't even get to level 1. Hydrate. Sorry, I'm not trying to be pushy about it. We got a hype train already. Thank you, everyone.
If you change point A, point B will change into a timeline full back on itself, resulting in Mandela effects.
Oh my god, Mandela effect on the bingo card.
To create a minimum of timeline ripples, they have to be very careful of going into the past and changing the outcomes of timelines, as they would find something else would happen, and now they would have multiple problems. Like, for instance, if you were to go back into the past and kill your father and come back to the present, you would
typically it's the grandfather, because it's the grandfather paradox.
Instantly be subject to the laws of karma, and
the laws of karma? That's not what karma means. Poor understanding of Eastern philosophy / religion on the bingo card.
Likely be hit by a car and die instantly.
You'd be hit by... Oh, so it works on Futurama time travel rules. That's funny. Like, it doesn't even just disappear you from existence. There's some sort of final destination murder that happens. H-Bird says, I feel like we need to send this guy this video.
Stop it.
Get some help.
Get some help.
Yeah.
So there are certain karmic laws and principles about this time travel, so you can't just always just go back. But multiple groups.
My understanding of karma, I also don't understand. I'm sorry, I don't understand Hinduism. So take this all with a grain of salt. I'm just gonna say my understanding is that in order to like win, you're not even supposed to necessarily have positive karma. There's like positive karma and negative karma. And it, first of all, doesn't have to do with how you're treated necessarily in this life. It's about a reincarnation cycle. And you're looking for neutral karma. Am I correct? I genuinely don't know. Because I know as much about it as this guy, but at least I know it's not what he's describing. This is like my name is Earl levels of understanding of karma.
We're working with time travel to almost like you could say there's a temporal war going on between Montauk with the Cabal and the Nazis and the other alternate realities that all affecting the time bubbles as well. Time freezing zones where some of these planetary corporations are based out of, and we're going to get into that later at the last end of this.
Planetary corporations. Nothing makes me more depressed than the idea of humans having science, technology, and power enough to visit the stars, and what we do is just continue capitalism exactly the same. That's unfortunate. Like, that's a sad thought. If we continue to exist as a species, and if we do end up going into space someday, and it's just gonna be full of fucking Starbucks or whatever the equivalent would be, with low-wage workers working in space Amazon warehouses peeing in bottles, that sounds awful. I really don't want that.
Presentation. So ICC, well actually what you see there is actually, the logo is actually the Planetary Corporation. Alana Elka here is her code name. She's explained to me that ICC and planetary corporations are two separate groups. The logo there is for planetary corporations. I don't have the logo here for ICC to show you, but these the planetary corporations would be like Lockheed Martin, TRW, Rand Corporation. So these are cabal.
Sounds like Sikhism. Karma and Dharma go hand in hand in Hinduism in many sects. There are also many versions of Hinduism, so interpretations of karma vary. Thank you.
Corporations. So just think of planetary corporations synonymous with cabal. ICC is just another operating arm of the other sub-colonies of MCC, and there's also the Sirius colony and other asteroids on Titan as well. But so these are
karma is accumulated positive or negative actions are recorded by the death god Kali, and depending on your karmic action, you'll go to either heaven or be reincarnated as to gain, or reincarnated to try again and get it right. I was under the impression that, again, there are all sorts of different sects. I'll just have to look into this. I'll ask my questions on, like, valid places actually written by people who believe and study Hinduism to get a fuller understanding. I shouldn't just ask my chat.
Two separate groups, but ICC was created around mid-70s, tasked with running Lunar Operations Command on the Moon and the Mars Colony Corporation. ICC policy would be
We did it, chat. We're halfway through the video. Hooray. Okay, so this is bookmarked. We are at 54 minutes 36 seconds. So I'll come back to this video, the VOD, if I need to get that information for the future, but if not, I should be able to remember because it is the middle of the video. Anyway, before we go, what's a fun, I don't know. I'm excited for Starfield. Is there anything Starfield related I could go out on? I've seen plenty of gameplay that's leaked, but I can't play that on Twitch, of course. So just like gameplay. 4 days. How did no one get bingo? I know. Don't forget about after stream. I know. I gotta get measurements for you. And by that I mean, Baja, if you're still listening, I will need your help getting some measurements for the kimono. Sure, that'll be a thing.
Act as a...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is just stuff. That's fine, though. Let's watch a little bit of this gameplay, and I'll talk about being excited. If you don't want to stick around for this for a little bit while we finish up the show, totally cool, understand. Love you parasocially. Hope to see you tomorrow, if you are headed out. Tomorrow we might be covering, oh boy, what are we going to cover? Maybe Chuds? A Chud watch tomorrow might be fun. So I think we'll probably do that. Tuesday, of course, will be Tinfoil Tuesday. Wednesday will be Who Knows. I actually might switch my Wednesday-Thursday shows this upcoming week. Thursday is normally my YouTube show, but I might do it Wednesday this week. Just because Thursday I'm going to do a whole Starfield hype stream, because Starfield Early Access starts on the 31st, Thursday at 8 p.m. here. So I'm probably just going to hype about that. But I'll do it on Twitch, because Twitch is more the gamey platform, gaming and stuff. I might also play Skyrim or something, or other Bethesda games while we talk about it. And it'll be casual and fun. If you're not interested in this game, totally understand. I get it. Bethesda's put out some bad stuff. Even though they didn't develop it, Fallout 76 was terrible, and they lied about a ton of stuff. But I'm still excited for this game. And I like Fallout. I even like Fallout 4. It's not a good RPG, but it's a pretty fun action game with RPG aspects, and I like the building. Sorry. Not as good as New Vegas, of course. I would prefer a game like New Vegas with deep role-playing, because I love that stuff. I already have my first Starfield character thought up. I know what I'm going to do for my first character. I'm into the role-playing. When in September is the subathon? I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have to see what my schedule's like. Probably mid-September, most likely, will be the beginning.
Scan complete. You are cleared for landing at New Atlantis.
At least a week in. Let me put it that way. Maybe not mid, but at least a week in. So maybe like Monday the 7th, or sorry, that's this month. Let me look at next month. Maybe Monday the 11th of September we'll start the subathon. Oh, I should say, I do have electrolysis on Mondays, and I have therapy on Wednesdays, so I will have to take breaks for those things respectively. Or you know, whatever, but I'll work around them and let you guys know. Other than that, I'll be streaming 8 hours a day during the subathon. Sorry, making it 4K. I'm sure it's already downgraded, transferring it to me than to you guys. I love mods. I'm so excited for all the Starfield mods. Don't get me wrong, I think the game itself will be plenty fun, but... I think the ship building's gonna be cool, too. See, the ship stuff is fine, but it's not the thing I'm primarily interested in. I always like the planet. I like exploring and doing quests
where you step into a new world and you get that feeling of unlimited possibilities. But this time, it's not just one world.
Systems. From running research projects with resources you find, to crafting weapon mods needed to survive.
The gameplay reviews I've seen so far, because reviewers got their copies 2 weeks early, and some people have leaked some stuff. I've heard the gunplay's a lot better. Like, Fallout 4 was already an improvement on Fallout 3. Of course, New Vegas improved on 3, and then I'd say that 4 improved even on Fallout New Vegas. I've heard the gunplay's better in this, which is good. That's never my primary thing that I'm in it for. I like the role-playing again, but still, that's good. Oh, also, the first leaker got arrested because he's dumb. The first leaker, he put out so much personal information of himself, oh my god. So, he got a copy, and by a copy, I mean this guy who works in a warehouse, he's told everyone he works in a warehouse on camera on the internet in the leaks while showing his face and posting his Facebook store or another store where he had tons of other stolen merchandise, allegedly. And then he did, like, leak gameplay. He was terrible at the game. His review was interesting. Anyway, his account got banned by Xbox, and he has now been arrested. Not for leaking. It's completely legal, of course, to if you get stuff to leak it online like that. You're not under NDA, whatever. Though Xbox could ban your account if they can pin it to you. He got arrested because he got caught stealing. He stole those copies from the warehouse along with other stuff he was selling on his page. Really dumb. Really dumb. Maybe if you're stealing a bunch from the warehouse you work at, don't post about it on the internet? Just a thought.
And you can build your own outpost.
To give you a clearer picture of this guy, when he was asked about the game and like, what's this game like? He said, there's a lot of reading. You're gonna read a lot. And if you've ever played a Bethesda game, that's pretty funny. Like, it's an RPG. It's there's gonna be some reading, talking, etc.
You can choose where and how to build each one, and you can hire characters you meet to keep it up and running. But that's not all. You can even build your own spaceships.
The shipbuilding seems really cool. I'm sure we'll get plenty of famous ship mods. I want a TARDIS mod so bad. They already exist for other Bethesda games. So.
And yes, you can completely customize the look and layout. There's loads of different modules, ship manufacturers, and more. I have to say, it's so cool. We just absolutely love this.
St. Louis Arch. St. Louis Arch. The Earth is a wasteland in this game. So if you go to Earth, it's a big desert.
Humanity has always hunted for knowledge in the unknown.
Yeah, I saw the Millennium Falcon someone built. It was pretty cool.
The wonder is, not that the field of stars is so vast, but that we have measured it.
Oh, how much spoilers does anyone care about in terms of mechanics in this game? Because I won't say it if even one person says they don't want to know anything, I'll just shut the fuck up. But since you're here, I'm curious if anyone cares. It's about a gameplay mechanic. It's not necessarily about... I don't know how to explain it. Don't? Okay. Maybe at the very end of this, I'll do a little spoiler segment and I'll tell everyone, if you don't want to hear the spoilers so far, leave. But that's not yet, but I might do that so people who do want spoilers can hear.
It's over 1,000 worlds.
Yeah, that's the Millennium Falcon. It looks pretty good. It almost looks like a mix of a Millennium Falcon and a TIE fighter based on the window that's there, like in the middle of the two, front sections.
Of where to go, it's not ours, it's yours. And it wasn't until now that we had the technology to create it. From the rocks at your feet.
Baja's such a wonderful wife. She has heard me gush about Starfield so much lately.
To the mountains in the distance. To the people and creatures that live in these worlds.
Does it have 16 times the detail? I think Microsoft really cracked down on Todd a little bit, because there weren't as many memeable lines in this one. Like, the closest is him being, I think in this scene, like, see that moon? You can actually go there, which is true. Like, that's not untrue. The game, you can go to the moon, so... Like, it's accurate.
That isn't just a backdrop. That moon is actually there orbiting the planet. Yes, you can visit it too. We realistically simulate the galaxy around you. Our next-generation lighting model uses real-time global illumination to light the world based on the type of star and the makeup of the planet. We also have...
I love this. It reminds me of Oblivion. Just this, like, what is it, a deciduous forest, whatever it is. This biome looks beautiful.
An all-new animation.
If it probably looks blurry to you guys and undetailed because you're going through multiple levels of me streaming it from YouTube, and YouTube already has bad compression, and then me getting it and then streaming it through my thing back to Twitch. So I'm sure it looks pretty blurry to you guys, but it actually looks really good.
System. And of course, you can play it in third person. And
oh god, the running animations look so much fucking better.
You can play.
I've been playing Skyrim as a lead up to this. I've also built the strongest character I ever have in Skyrim. Like, not using cheats, just like using the mechanics of the game optimally. I've built an insanely powerful character.
Play it in first person. We love exploration and rewarding it, but you do explore differently in this game given its scale. That usually involves exploring an area you've landed in. You can
stealth archer. I unironically kind of wish, I don't think there are because that's not the kind of game they're going for. I do wish they had bows and arrows in this, considering how much wildlife there is, and I think it would be cool to be able to roleplay as someone who, like, bow hunts alien creatures. Stealth archer would be fun. But I don't think I've seen anything akin to a bow or a crossbow or anything like that. It's all been ballistic or energy weapons.
Sources. Do a mission, and maybe even stumble upon something unexpected.
Again, the combat looks smoother, and it seems like you have a lot more moving around than, like, Fallout 4 combat. Allegedly, I know I think id, who developed the recent Doom games, the remakes, obviously I know the original Doom is from quite a while ago. The more recent Doom games, like Doom and Doom Eternal, apparently came in to work with them on this. They claim they didn't specifically work on the shooting mechanics. I don't believe them. I straight up don't believe them. I think Microsoft was like, hey, you have the Doom people working under the same umbrella corporation. Please get them to help some of this. Like, it looks a little more tactile. Even the reloading animations look satisfying.
We're all here because we're committed to the biggest question of all. What's...
Which, personally, one of the reasons I don't like... I've tried to play the Doom games. I like the first and second Doom games, like the original ones. I have them on Switch, and, they've been fun. I like them. The thing is, though... The newer Doom games, I don't really like that sort of run-and-gun shooting where it's just like hordes and hordes of demons with a very thin story and you just go from like arena to arena to arena and you just kill. But like, the gunplay is good and viscerally pretty satisfying. I'm just glad this is going to be in an RPG. Why I need to play on PC? Xbox has mods.
Out there.
Like, my Skyrim gameplay right now is full of mods, just, like, balancing things and graphic stuff. I have a TARDIS.
You're part of Constellation now. Part of our family.
This game's called Starfield. Comes out early access on the 1st, or the evening of the 31st for me. Comes out on the 6th of September for general audiences. Is this playable on iPad? I don't know if you're joking or not, but, like, you actually can through Games Pass. If you're in a situation where game streaming is fine and you, like, have a really good internet connection, you can use Games Pass to stream this game through Xbox. And, not Xbox, sorry. What do they call it? Xbox Games Pass. Not like a physical console, but you can have it on the console. But, like, you can download Xbox Game Pass on PC, different tablets and stuff, and stream games through them. So you could use an iPad if you would really like. You would just need a controller or something to connect to the iPad.
We do not fully understand all that is at work here.
No finer group in the
through Xbox Cloud streaming.
Stars to be unraveling this.
Oh, it's also on GeForce? Oh, that's cool.
Mystery.
Will I be streaming? I'm going to have a personal playthrough that I'm working on, but I will probably have a secondary character that I'm going to build with you guys throughout the subathon on and off when I need little breaks to kind of do something more fun and less watching conspiracy theorists and chuds.
I'll follow you from here on out, Captain.
Grab jump is ready. I love this part.
Oof. Why is it buffering? YouTube, why? Can you guys still hear me? Did my internet cut out, or is YouTube just being shit? I genuinely can't even tell. Uh-oh. That's probably not good. You hear me? Okay. Wonder why YouTube stopped working. Anyway, I guess that's enough. I've talked about Starfield enough. I'm doing a hype stream like the day before it comes out anyway, so we'll deal with it then. Okay, so we're gonna do a raid. Anyone who does not want to hear Starfield spoilers, and again, not deep, I'm talking stuff that's gonna be like in the first hour. Okay, I'm not talking end game spoilers. I'm talking like first hour. If you want to go in completely blind, now's the time to jump out. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. Hope to see you tomorrow. But anyway, I'll give you 20 seconds or so to jump off if you would like not to hear anything, okay? 20, 19, 18, then you won't see me for a week. I have told myself that I get 2 days maximum. If I can do it in one day and feel good, great. If I feel like I really need a second day off to do it, that's fine. Also, because there's going to be a subathon later in the month, I can afford that. I can do that for some self-care and do something that I like. But, I don't know. Anyway, okay. Spoilers time. First hour or two of the game. Just so you know. Good? We good? I just want to make sure. I don't want anyone to be taken by surprise by this. I am giving as much prelude as possible. I want you all to be in anticipation of what I'm about to say. Okay, we're starting now. Good. Starfield. We're talking about Starfield. Okay. So in the game, if you are a fan of Skyrim, there are shouts. They're not called shouts. However, they function like shouts, basically. They are powers that you get. My understanding is that you get these powers through touching artifacts that have been left by some sort of precursor civilization or alien civilization, and you get these powers, and they work like shouts. One of them we saw in the direct involves manipulating gravity. Who knows what other powers, but it seems like they'll be, you know, physics-based, because it's not supposed to be magic, it's supposed to be like space, alien technology magic. This one is unconfirmed, because I haven't seen this in the gameplay I've seen. I've seen plenty of gameplay leaks, I've seen an hour at least of gameplay, and I didn't see this brought up, so I'm not sure if I just missed it. But allegedly your character, you know how each game kind of has a different name for the character, even though you obviously are making your own? Like, the Lone Wanderer, the Champion of Cyrodiil, the, you know, Dragonborn, Supposedly, your character in this game is, again, this might just be someone made some shit up. I heard Starborn, but again, that's so close to Dragonborn, it's almost eye-rolling. I'm fine with it. It's just funny if they literally did that. What else? Oh, you start the game, you know how in Oblivion, or rather in a lot of Elder Scrolls games, you start either in prison or in some sort of, confinement. The beginning of the game involves you being a miner on some desolate planet. Of course, you still have your own character backgrounds, and generally the character will give some sort of snarky response to how your character might have gotten into this situation. So for the chef background, for instance, they say like, oof, which food critic did you upset to get sent here? Something like that. So you can assume that, different backgrounds have different little responses that explain, like, oh, it's weird that your character with whatever background you have might be in this situation. What else? There's going to be a new game plus. We do know that. That's a new for a Bethesda game. There's going to be a new game plus, which is cool. The way that the planets work is you can land anywhere on the planets, but you can't just run around the entire planet. I don't know why you would want to do that anyway, but basically when you land on the planet, it creates a huge map, like the size of, like, Fallout 4 or Skyrim or something, and that's the map of that place. And it procedurally puts stuff, handcrafted content, like the dungeons and stuff, are made, but they exist as things that can be placed in the environment procedurally. So then, what does that mean? It basically means your ship is the center. Whenever you land on a planet, wherever you choose, your ship lands. That is the center point of the ground map. You can open your map, and then you can go a certain distance. Someone showed a video where they ran like 40 minutes. In a straight line, they ran 40 minutes away from their ship. And at the end of that 40 minutes, they basically hit an invisible wall that said, hey, you need to return to your ship or use the map to get to this next segment. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go to that next segment. It just means they make you reposition your ship and kind of load screen into the next area. So you can land anywhere on a planet, but while you're on the planet, you exist within like a Skyrim or Fallout 4 sized map. And then if you want to move on to the next segment of the planet, there's a load screen, basically. So there is load screening, but it's huge areas. If that makes sense. Does it have a teenage boy with elf ears and a green pea hat with a green tunic? That's a lot of space without a load screen. I think if you go into buildings and stuff, there's a load screen still. But, like, the outside is all contiguous. Okay, that's pretty much all I had. Looks interesting. Looks fun. I'm expecting a fun little Bethesda RPG. Alright, have a good night, everyone. I will see y'all later. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. I have electrolysis tomorrow, which I'm excited about. I have so little hair on my goddamn face. You have no idea, chat. You just have no idea. It's so good. That work? There we go. The raid will happen. Whew, I am warm. Alright. Have a good night, everyone. Love you too, Mr. Blast. It was good to see ya yesterday. Alright, see you guys tomorrow. I'm gonna go eat leftover pizza and spend time with my wife. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.